Hello there. How is everybody doing? Sorry about that. My browser just crashed as soon as I started the intro. So I was like, oh, I now got to scramble to get everything back up and running. Hopefully that all works, and hopefully I'm live. But thank you so much. If I am, very much appreciate y'all joining us for T3PO Live. Man, it feels like forever that I had this show back on, but it's only been only missed a week there. Which is quite fascinating. But we have an excellent panel and an excellent roster of topics to talk about today. Everything from Fantasmic follies to Disney attempting to get off-the-shelf stuff for a myriad of things, AI artwork and all that. It's just crazy. RIP Ride Rocket and a whole bunch more. So I think you're going to enjoy the list of topics that we have on today. But to talk about those topics, we have an amazing panel for you as well. Here we go, the one and only. We have Alu, Wasserman's Ghost. We have Erica from Erica and Raph. We have Joshua Harris, famed historian. We have Ron E. Bradley. And, last but not least, Nolan Thunder. Thunder, what is going on, guys? How are you doing today?
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
I'm still jamming to that opening music.
Yeah, it's cheerful. Cheerful is a good thing.
I like that music. Jonas and I went over a ton of tracks to find out what was going to be the signature sound for this specific channel right here. And we all kind of agreed that's the one. By the way, that intro will be changing. Don't worry. The music is going to stay. But the intro will be changing a little bit.
I'm writing lyrics. For the music.
I can't hear intros or outros. I can't even hear videos. It's weird. Ever since I got this new computer. I cannot hear anyone's videos, video clips, outros, intros, but the conversation I get, it's really weird.
The important
fill in the blanks with your own music.
Well, on the topic of the intro music, I don't know why, but my mind has just been like 4 months in the past because I was expecting the Halloween intro to come on for some reason, which is not uplifting at all.
I like the Halloween intro.
I'd be down with that.
Your ghoulish pallor displays an aura of foreboding.
That's right. We're going to be talking about the Haunted Mansion in just a second. Before we even get to that, we actually have some breaking news for you guys. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't even know if you heard this, but this one really took me by surprise. We have right here. This is, I think, a little site called Babylon Bee. I haven't quite heard of it, but they have the scoop here. Disney announces live-action remake of an animated remake of a live-action remake of animated remake of live-action remake. Wow. Man. Disney.
I said that just a few weeks ago. They're stealing my lines again. I said it on this channel, and everyone believed me.
Oh, God.
Really?
They're listening.
Well,
Remember the Wish thing that I said about like, okay, yeah, sure. Remember that they're going to make a live action Wish, and all of you took me seriously for 5 seconds. That was it.
Yeah. Oh.
that's a good. Oh, I remember that now. Well, hey, look, if they're listening to us on the Babylon Bee, they have good taste. So there you go. I thought that was pretty funny.
Go down because they always have a sting in the tail paragraph at the end of their stories. I'm curious what this one is. Can you?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And
They
the tail
always
paragraph?
have a little twist at the end. Let's see. A publishing time, first animated remake of a live action remake of. Okay, so there you go.
Right. Thanks
Yeah.
to the clown world. Okay. Well, there you go. I have huge respect for Walt Disney. Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. I'm going to need a fact check on that, please.
That's the funniest thing on this article.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to need a fact check on all of that right there. But really good stuff. Really fantastic news. Now, we do have one story that I know Ron wanted to bring up because, well, this just happened here. And Ron, I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor here and allow you to set this all up. And well, it's going to be your show for the next few minutes. Unfortunately, we have some sadder news for sure.
Yeah, this is heartbreaking news for me personally. This is because Wayne Osmond, I consider to be a friend. He passed away apparently not Sunday night. He passed away on the January 1st, late at night, with his family gathered around him, his sons, his boys, who I also knew some of them, his wife. Wayne and I shared some really, really good times together. I worked at the theater at the Osmond Brothers Theater in Branson, Missouri, in the mid 1990s. I got to know the Osmond family very, very well. I've been over to their house, not Wayne's house, actually Alan's house. It's funny because, at that point in time, everybody that knew the Osmonds knew them as like the ideal family of the United States of America. They were like the total all-American family, right? So it's funny to have gone over to a house and actually overheard an argument between two of the brothers, Alan and Merrill, fighting on the phone. But they're real people who went through a lot of milk. As it turns out, there's a lot of Osmonds in that family. Wayne was great. Wayne was the comedian of the family. He had fantastic jokes. One of my what was the one of his jokes, he would just come out like in the middle, like he was singing the song Born Free, would say, "Born free. My father's a doctor." So
yep.
It was always one of my favorite jokes that he would, and he was just such a good guy. We would hang out, after the show, between shows, we'd talk to each other. And I knew all of the Osmonds. I knew Wayne and Alan and Merrill and Jay. Of course, Donnie and Marie became the really famous ones of the bunch. But these guys were great. These guys helped open Walt Disney World. They were on the opening special. They helped open the Haunted Mansion. They were good friends with Kurt Russell, and also taught. They performed with Elvis Presley. They were taught karate by Chuck Norris himself. Of course, on stage with Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 at times. So it's a pretty big loss. All of my, the second generation of Osmonds, basically Alan's sons, who were Merrill's nephews, were the ones that I'm kind of in the same generation as. So I got to know them very well and have hung out with them on numerous occasions. And it's heartbreaking news for me. I know that he's not particularly prominent in the forefront of pop culture today, obviously, but there was a time when these guys would get off a plane and they were performers, and they were like the boy band of all boy bands. They started the boy band craze, if you will, them and the Jackson 5, and they would be bum rushed. They would have girls fainting at them. So there was a time at the height of their fame when everybody in the world knew who they were and clamored to be around them, like they do Taylor Swift today. So it's very heartbreaking news for me to see that Wayne has passed away. I know he had health issues. I was around when he had his brain tumor and came back from that. So it's tough, but he's a good man, and I'm sure that he's where he's supposed to be. And I love the statement that his family gave about him, loving the Lord and also loving banana splits, his favorite dessert.
Yeah, the Osmonds, I mean, they were huge. They were huge. They defined the later 20th century in terms of music. I mean, it was just insane how popular they were. You can see right here, this is the Osmonds actually joining Kurt Russell for the opening of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. I believe this is late 1969, early 1970, if I'm not mistaken. Like that's when about this.
What would they say now? My God.
Well, the next story has to do with the Haunted Mansion. So
I thought it might. Yes.
Before we change gears, though, what were you holding up there, Ron?
This is an original album, Osmond's album, 12-inch vinyl. Phase 3, the Osmonds. This is I'm trying to find the date. It's like 1971. So this album came out the year that I was born. This album and me are the same age. Vinyl intact, probably worth a lot of money, I would imagine. But yeah, there they on the back.
You or the album?
Well, I'm not worth anything. The album is worth a ton.
Somewhere out there, there's a guy that collects people who do this. And
here, this is this is actually signed to my mom because it was her album at the time. It says to Kathleen, Ron. What was this? Ron wasn't something when this was. Oh, Ron wasn't born when this was made. Ha! That's actually Wayne that signed it, I think, or it might have been. Wait, who do I have on here? There's 2 signatures. So I got a couple of their signatures on this. It's probably worth some decent amount of money. I think that's Jay. Oh, this is Jay that signed it here, and Alan that signed it here. Wayne is over here on this side. This is little Jimmy Osmond at the time, and that's Meryl up top.
So cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's an amazing thing. Like I said, the Osmonds at one time were as big, if not bigger, than Taylor Swift is today. So I know people probably don't realize that some people can become famous and then less famous as the years wane.
And they didn't sing about their failed love affairs either.
They did not. They sang about the lazy river.
Strange but true.
Yeah,
which is pretty shocking because you think about it. Most songs out there are about ruined relationships. If you think about it,
yeah, they have
very strong point.
You could probably parody "Down by the Lazy River" by saying, "That awful Tiana's Bayou adventure. I'm gonna go on it tonight."
Down a lazy river where the sewage smells. Down a lazy river where the animatronics swell. I don't know. Anyway,
we'll definitely be talking about some
Yo-Yo, which is a huge song at the time, a number 1, and Down by the Lazy River, and it's got a whole bunch of the other songs on it. But amazing back in the day. Gosh, to think that this album and I are the same age is kind of weird.
That was my high school year, so there you go.
Yeah.
Although I got out early for good behavior, so.
Now you're a ghost.
Well, I did. I took a couple extra classes, and I got extra credit for things. And I watched. My mother was so excited about me walking across the lawn with the. I didn't do it. I watched it. I was already out. I was already at college, so those were the days. But yeah, 71. Wow.
Fantastic. Well,
but meanwhile, back at the theme parks,
all the love go to the Osmond family right there in their time of loss. Awesome stuff in terms of the legacy and history. Very, very much for sure. But let's go ahead and go back to an attraction that they may have once promoted.
Absolutely.
Not directly the attraction, because we're going to be talking about the gift shop. but an important story nonetheless. Here we go. Out of that park place. This still is just shocking to me. And we have an update, folks, on this story. If you've heard on that park place already. From innovators to imitators, Disneyland caught canceling creativity through cost-cutting controversy in Haunted Mansion gift shop. This by Marvin Montanaro, December 26, 2024. Disneyland was reportedly caught red-handed using AI artwork, cheap Amazon props, and pre-designed architecture for the new Haunted Mansion gift shop, Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond. All this while still charging guests premium prices for what's supposed to be an unmatched and unforgettable experience crafted by creative geniuses. When Disneyland first opened in 1955, Walt Disney built an empire on the pillars of imagination and innovation. Today, many fans fear that spirit is all but gone, replaced by cost-cutting measures, outsourced designs, and even artificial intelligence artwork. The latest evidence, the newly opened Haunted Mansion gift shop, Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond. Instead of showcasing the kind of immersive storytelling that once defined the Haunted Mansion, Disney's now dressing its gift shop shelves with cheap Amazon decor and AI-generated artwork from Redbubble, raising prices, lowering creative standards as they go. This is a crazy story. So it all kind of started with the original Orange Bird kicking things off when this the interior of this horrific building was finally showcased. People were putting together, oh, wait a minute, that bust right there up on the upper shelves of this gift shop, well, that's, you know, the same bust that you can find on Amazon for, I believe at the time of this video, $64.30 right there.
So can you imagine the kid, the new kid gets a job at Imagineering and he's telling all his friends, they say, what do you do there? Are you a creator? Are you a designer? I'm a shopper. I go shopping for Imagineering. Isn't that exciting?
Can we also make a comment on this statue here? How, like, they didn't even paint it. Like, they didn't even do something creative and new with it. They literally just bought that darn thing and put it up on display. That is ridiculous.
Wow. Now, they've done this in the past, too, of course. What were all those Etsy generic bear things that they put in the store for country bears? And
Yep.
And then, of course, the Chinese Zootopia that was caught using stuff from the internet.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, they have been caught. In that case, that one was more egregious because they ripped that artwork off and didn't credit the artist who had created that original artwork. I believe it was for Furry Reddit, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, you mean something in China didn't pay the rights for something creative? I'm shocked to discover.
Oh my.
That's a good point, actually. Well,
that is some
we're going to have to add this to your archive, Joshua, here, because it didn't stop there. Yes, they actually used AI-generated artwork as well. So you can see this this photo of the bride there. Many people actually believe that this was the new bride that is rumored to be coming in 2025 when the attraction goes down for its conversion back to Haunted Mansion from Haunted Mansion Holiday. Well, that doesn't appear to be the case. You can see right here, this is absolutely AI-generated artwork from Redbubble. The tall tale signs is you can actually see the candelabra, the candelabras, I should say. They're not consistent with each other. You can also see
and
this
neither
kind of
is
weird
that
split in the
banister, and
staircase.
there's a couple of other telltale signs for AR on there too. So it's kind of
does she have
ridiculous
6 fingers?
Yeah. I think that they solved the finger problem recently, but this could have been an older AI thing, so you're not quite sure about that. Do you mind if I jump in now?
Please, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is actually one of the topics I was most interested to talk about because I might be a little bit of a wet blanket for a second, but if you'll stay with me, we'll be right back on track. Every single Imagineering project does this. I one of my dear friends was the head of props resourcing for several projects. One of them includes both of the Trader Sam's Tiki bars. There was also he did Pandora, all of their props as well, and he did it for the Buena Vista Street in California Adventure. So this happens all the time. So there's actually some of the examples I could go ahead and I can show you right now. If I could go ahead and see here now. Sorry about that. Let me just go ahead and check on the screen here. So this one is one of them. So you see that this wonderful, this most eloquent and one of the most expensive and most elaborate rooms created in Walt Disney Imagineering history. Almost everything in here is a sourced prop. The only things that are different are the sofas, which were reproductions, and the tapestry over the fireplace. Every single thing else here, even the lighting fixtures, are from a theater in Seattle that was condemned while the Tower of Terror was being constructed. And even the owl here. So if anybody wants to buy me one of these owls, you can actually get one. There it is right there. So you can actually see the whole. So that they're available for purchase at worldofbronze.com/owl. So that one's one of those there. So so them buying things doesn't really necessarily concern me. The part that actually does concern me is a lot of the other props and questionable decisions that they were making with this thing. So let me see if I could do this a little bit better here. Okay, so. Can you see what I'm looking at right now? An overall shot of.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So because I have to toggle through different tabs and everything. So here we are. We're inside of Madame Leota's she shed, and you can see that everything is like it. So there's a couple of major problems here. First of all, there's a lot of intercontextuality here that is profoundly repugnant to me. This large green sign here that has the faces on there, that was from the banister that you go up the stairs at Disneyland, and we have the same exact one in the Magic Kingdom as well. That one's a problem for me. This one's another one that's actually so they're trying to go for a floating illusion there, but if you notice, the drumsticks do not work because it's a reflection of them at an angle. So that's profoundly stupid. So you've got that going on with it. The other one that I really detest, and I don't care how important you are inside of Imagineering, I hate the one that they did for Barnabas T. Gold or whatever it is, that is basically Tony Baxter for Big Thunder. I really hate the Phil Holman's one that they have in Bell's Bookshop over at the Magic Kingdom, and this one's no different. I mean, they couldn't have let her at least smile on there, because this is Leota Tomes. This is a tribute to her, but it's also something that, you know, it's put there so that people who know it will appreciate it. But at the same time, when you do that, you're actually pulling people out of the a story that I thought that we were supposed to be creating in the immersive environment that you're supposed to be putting people in. If you have these very, very blatant tributes to people on there, it really is just it's Imagineering self-pleasuring, if I could say that, the entire way through. This stuff, though, this really pisses me off. What the heck is that doing there? Of course, we know that it's the 13th clock. It's done in a chrome finish. It is larger than life. It looks like it was constructed. It looks like the types of displays that you would see inside of the World of Disney store in the 90s. not inside of a theme park, right next to one of the greatest theme park attractions ever created. And it's also super shiny. And they also have the same thing over here. They have some of the serpent motif that's inside of the Seance Circle as well. And if you look at it, because you can see the weather beams and everything all over on the side here, and that yet everything besides those beams is very bright and very fresh and very new. This is not what you're supposed to do in Imagineering. I mean, if you are going to do this ridiculous motif where you have the 13th clock here, you should at least age it. And they're not doing that. Now, the one thing that I would say about the props there as well is that, let me see here. The one thing I would say about the props as well is that when they are sourcing them, at least, before 2019, they would they would do it through auction houses. They would do it through obscure references and everything else, and that makes it a little bit more charming and everything. We do have a problem now, is that because they're not going to send them out to auction properties anymore. They're not going to look on eBay, which is what a lot of the things have been coming from for the last at least 15 years or so. A lot of it's eBay, but the problem with it is that now they're not going to give them the budget for that, so they're literally just going on Amazon looking for props. So that
and think about all that stuff they brought back from Nepal and elsewhere to decorate the queue at Everest. That's all, and elsewhere in Animal Kingdom, but it was all real stuff.
Correct.
They just they just loaded up crates full of it and put it around where it made sense. And it's
just Big Thunder, for example.
Maybe Bob Iger wants to shop like a billionaire, so he's going on Temu, shopping like a billionaire.
They have absolutely acquired things in the past. There's no question about that. One of the notable examples that I remember is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I forget. I just saw a video online about this. But
yeah, all of their mining equipment is authentic. Right. It's all from the 1800s. And so.
Which is great, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I suppose it gets a little less charming, to use your phraseology, Joshua, when it comes off of directly off of Amazon. And then it's like,
and no repainting, Nolan said. That Nolan made a perfectly good point. I mean, you could have aged this. You could have done something that would have made it a little bit more custom. And they do that with most of the projects that they do. It's just they don't put anything just off the shelf and just put it on there. You're done.
Now, these are all at the shop at Disneyland. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. The photos that Joshua just shared, and also the images that you've seen now are all on the shop at Disneyland, the exit gift shop for Haunted Mansion.
What is so frustrating to me, and everyone I'm sure in the chat and on the panel has a stance on the whole AI art debacle and everything that's been going on with that lately with generative AI. But I do gotta say, it is kind of frustrating to me how, it seems like whenever you're seeing, examples of AI art being used in the physical sense or just in mass marketing campaigns, it's not from, the smaller, low budget creator out there, trying to get his foot in the door that, has to scrape by, trying to do everything he is to work, in this economy with budgets and all that. It seems like it's always going back to the massive corporation, whether it would be like Disney or Coca-Cola, mind you, that maybe it's because all the eyes are on them, but it just seems like they're the poster boys right now for utilizing this kind of stuff in their projects, when you'd think that they would be the companies that could really go out and afford, an artist with 10 plus years of experience, that extra little detail, because you're paying money for the finer things, so to speak. And yet it seems like it's almost reversed these days. It's really bizarre.
Well, may I ask,
own artists they could rely on. I mean, they're supposed to be artists. They're supposed to be innovators. And it's sad to see the company just cheapen themselves like this.
Show of hands. Who thinks when they go in the Burning Blade Tavern or the Steakhouse or all that stuff at Epic, they're going to see stuff off of Reddit and eBay?
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't know. I don't think so. And here's the other thing too. It's not just props and pieces like this, but it's also fixtures. So we have an update on all of this. Disneyland Con again using off-the-shelf prop for Haunted Mansion fountain this time. Yes, Disneyland fans have discovered another off-the-shelf prop used as a fountain in the park's Haunted Mansion attraction. This time as part of the Imagineering-led Haunted Mansion Q/reimagining and / Magnolia Park replacement project. It's kind of weird because this is on the opposite wall of the Haunted Mansion Q in the Magnolia Park section. But you can kind of get a vision for what that looks like there. If we see this video from Theme Park Casual, you can see this fountain. Now, this one's kind of interesting because at the time when we saw this, it was like, that's not super impressive, especially when losing the fountain that we had in and around this spot here. But now we know that it came from a store, this one right here, Kenneth Lynch and Sons, for a little under $5,000. The French Dolphin Wall Fountain. I guess the bronze owl, very impressive. That's an impressive piece right there. It's like, okay, to build that in-house would have been, unbelievably expensive and all that. I suppose if you're going to buy something, good that it didn't come from Amazon. But I don't know. I guess, especially for the fountain that we lost, I don't know, not super impressive either. And then to top off this whole story here, apparently the building itself might have been off the shelf, which is so crazy. So Bell here, clearly I've missed a tribute to Walton Roy. Walton Roy built their first houses from a prefabricated house kit, and now WDI built the Haunted Mansion gift shop from a prefabricated shed kit.
Yep.
You can see right here, it is a dead ringer for this. I can try to find give me just 1 second, guys, the one that really illustrates this most profoundly. Here we go. Yeah.
Wow.
There you
Christopher Walken would say, "What are you doing putting this shed at Disneyland? Wow, can't believe it's happening."
Well, this was always really
the
weird.
shed was made for cows, therefore it's cowbell.
There you go. So this shed went up very quickly. I remember people noting at the time that cover everything Disneyland and Disneyland related. They were like, "Whoa, this went up really quick." Very surprised how fast this went up. Other people were noting, wow, it's really big, it's really intimidating. It doesn't use any forced perspective, any of those tricks to really keep it in line with the structures around it, because you gotta think, this is right next door to the Haunted Mansion, and now Tiana's By Adventure. Both use forced perspective techniques. This doesn't employ any of that. In fact, actually so large, it covers Tiana's By Adventure from this view. You could have seen it prominently from this view only a year ago, and now it's obfuscated by this, whatever this is.
I think the official model in the Barn Company's kit is sore thumb.
Yes, indeed. And other people were saying, hey, this wouldn't necessarily be a carriage house, especially for a southern antebellum plantation.
Not at all.
What resides right next to it. It would house other people, let's say. Not good there. Joshua, I want to ask you, this is supposed to be Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond. It's all Madame Leota themed, and it's supposed to be the storage unit for the carriage that's outside in front of the Haunted Mansion. And then we have Leota tombs up there.
Which is it? Is it supposed to be a carriage house? Because if it's supposed to be a carriage house, then I should see a carriage in there that should have been retrofitted into a merchandise display, or I should see tracks that are on the floor. They should have a lot more weathering on there. That's what you would do if you were doing like classic Imagineering techniques. Then to focus it on one character, this is profoundly annoying to me. It's been annoying to me ever since they changed the bride. I mean, she's bloviating the entire way through. It's not even a joke that's worth telling. I mean, the original bride that was just there that did absolutely nothing, that was basically a store mannequin that had a red beating heart. That was 10 times better than the amount of time and effort that they took into creating a Pepper's ghost, projected face illusion on everything with that one. And you look at the whole entire thing, and then the whole entire attic now is devoted to her. And you're just like, yeah, I get it. You hacked to pieces all of your husbands, and you collected pearls for each one. This is not that clever. You're supposed to blend into the foreground when you're dealing with all the ghosts of the Haunted Mansion. They're not. None of them are supposed to be the star of the thing. And to glorify Madame Leota here, it just makes no sense. It's absolutely preposterous, and it just really infuriates me, the fact that this is standing. If you want to put this in the middle of downtown Disney, which you still call it that over there, if you want to put that there, fine. That's okay. That's good. That's way far away. That's completely separate. That's okay. This would be perfectly appropriate, but it is right next to one of the greatest attractions ever created, and it really cheapens the market value of the entire location. So.
And I'm going to ask one of my standard, what does God need with a starship questions. We saw that weathering of the interior ceiling beams. Gee, the outside stood up pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no weathering of the roof or any. I mean, it's like
it's like every single thing that they do with all of these projects now, that they misallocate the funds every single time to where they only devote a small section of it to onto certain elements, and then they just throw it away for everything with that. And unfortunately, that's been done for at least like 22 years now. I mean, you look at something like Mission Space, which Mission Space has an absolutely gorgeous planetary plaza, and then it has a very interesting queue, and then you go inside the queue, and then you go inside the ride, and then outside of that, it's just like, oh, look, this is where the budget fell out, because it's a big blank white hallway the entire way through. It's like, can you not budget things correctly? I mean, you look at something like one of the things that I'm particularly amazed by most of the time when you're looking at older projects, even things that, I would say anything that happened before 2000, is just the level of consistency of detail all the way through the entire experience. You never see any part of it where they cheapened out on one particular thing or another. No, everything was done in a very consistent style, and it doesn't necessarily have to break the bank when you're doing that. It just goes all the way through. The only thing that I think that would be modern, like possibly beyond 2000, I think that Pandora was very well done all the way throughout consistently. But even then, you have something like the Navi River Journey. I'm just like, yeah, you spent your entire budget on this one animatronic figure, didn't you? Because it shows.
Well, I have to make a counter to your point, Josh, because look at Rise of the Resistance, the single rider line, that great office hallway you just walk through to get to the ride, doesn't clash at all. It's great.
Yeah. You don't need half the experience to go in there. My God.
It begs the question, was there money allocated for all those other areas originally, and as the big stuff got more expensive, they started stealing from it, or did they not give a damn to begin with?
That's a good question. But another ride that does that is the Star Wars, not the Galaxy's Edge one, the Star Tours. When you get off of it, you just you have it. It's very, very well themed all the way through, from the queue all the way inside. You're going on the ride, and then you get off, and before you go to the shop, you're just in a hallway. That you're no longer in anything Star Wars.
Well, there's like travel posters at Disneyland of other trips.
Well, but that's all you have, like a blank hallway and then these travel posters, and it's not very Star Wars themed. It just feels like the budget went down there as well. And I'm thinking that very much reminds me of when you get off of Mission Space. It's the same type of thing, except that at Mission Space it's much, much longer.
And there's nothing there. There is nothing there. I mean,
it's just white walls.
I worked there for 8 months. It was sheer hell. And it really just when you're inside of that unload hallway, I'm thinking about of course, being who I am, I'm just like, yeah, I'm standing right now in what was the outer space segment of Horizons or blah, 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 blah. But I'm also looking at all these white walls. I'm just like, this would be amazing for like murals and stuff. If you could put like murals up here, this would be awesome. But no, yeah. And thank God they finally, after many, many years, got rid of that ridiculous pop song. But still, just like, yeah, there's nothing there.
You know, the one place in the world that made a benefit out of that was the Star Trek thing in Vegas. Because the finale was that you crashed through the roof of the Hilton Hotel and wound up in the basement somewhere. And when you came out, you were in a hallway backstage at the hotel. It was plain. There was a guy with a janitor bucket there saying, oh, I'll go that way. And then you went out the door and you were in the DS9 promenade. But that was fun. That made it work. But
yeah, the other thing that I'd like to point out with this is that I originally, when I saw the new queue for the Haunted Mansion, that I only saw a few pictures of it, and then I finally saw a walkthrough, and the video was 10 times worse than the photos, which I didn't think that was possible. I mean, this is like the neighbor in a rural town who puts way too many garden gnomes in front of their lawn. It's just like, okay, so you did not enough detail on this one part, and you did way too much on this one, and also there's no weathering, there's nothing there. I mean, like, yes, I understand. It's just like, by all means, keep up the Walt tradition of we'll take care of the outside, you take care of the inside. But I'm like, but yeah, even if you're taking care of something, it still looks its age. And this thing looks like it was made 5 seconds ago by people who have no clue what they're doing. It's just,
it doesn't look like New Orleans. It looks like a modern restaurant themed to New Orleans that doesn't know how to do it.
That's a good point. It
Very
does
Olive Garden-esque. So.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, Olive Garden-esque. It's so strange. When I visited the first time, I was like, "Whoa, this really doesn't quite feel cohesive."
You are not being fair to Olive Garden. Olive Garden does a much better job than that.
Because I guarantee you one thing: at Disney, you will never get all-you-can-eat breadsticks. They'll charge you for every last one of them.
The most tragic thing with this sort of thing is the more they do that, the more normal it becomes at the parks. Like if they just keep adding on, it's going to blend in more. And then you're going to start picking out like, hey, there's like 20 things that look like this. It reminds me of a little side tangent here. My cousins once did this thing where a bunch of them, they all got a bunch of outfits that make them look like farmers, and they got like pitchforks and stuff. It was him and a couple of his friends, and it was like 4 of them, 6, whatever. And they all took a picture together. And their mom was kind of like, what are you doing? And they even got like a nice fancy frame. They went to the store, got a nice old school looking frame, and got a nice little frame of all of them together. And it was cool and all that. And they're like, why are you doing this? Well, come to find out, they took that picture, they put it inside of a Cracker Barrel. And from what I know, that picture is still inside to this day.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Let me tell you, people are going to show up at Disney with Amazon products, slap it in, and just be like, "Let's see how long this stays there."
Let me tell you how far that goes. There was a company back in the 70s, 80s that went to auction houses and estate sales and bought up portraits of grim old men from the 1800s, and they would sell them to companies to put up as the founder. For real, okay? And there was a place I'll never forget at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco called Pepe's at the Pier. And when you open the menu, there was a little story about everybody remembers when the fishing fleet would come back to the pier, and Pepe was there with his little taco stand and feeding them, and they loved it. And then at the end of it, it says, prosaic, isn't it? Too bad it's not true, but we try to make our food as good as it would have been if it had been here that long. At least they talked to it, you know? But, oh, geez. But yeah, they sold heritage in the form of old prints of grim-looking founding fathers.
That makes me want to have a business someday and take a very weathered, old-fashioned looking picture of Michael Keaton and put it up as the founder. You know,
yeah, there you go.
Because he played the founder.
Well, they own the Muppets right now. They could, make some Muppet stuff and make jokes about how their budget ran out. Kind of like that one movie they were going to do at one point about the most expensive Muppet movie ever made. But yet, in times when they're cutting costs, instead, they're trying to get rid of the Muppets. It makes no sense.
But they don't even explain it well, I mean, I have a friend who made a sort of a strange movie about like a joke women's prison movie. And they had no money. And the prisoners are asking the warden who's giving them all this, you can't get out of here, you're here forever stuff. Well, where's the guards? I don't see any guards. And the warden thinks from it, they're ninjas. Yes, ninjas. They're invisible, but they're out there. Honest they are, And it was funny. It worked. But they don't even, like I say,
what you just said
on the inside, why isn't it weathered on the outside? It just,
Yeah, well, what you just said, Nolan, reminded me of that ridiculous sign that they put up when they were putting Mini Minis One-Way Railway in Toontown. It's just like that huge billboard. It's just like, nope, there's no show building here or something of that nature on there. I'm just like, you realize, though, that that sign, based off of my rough calculations, probably costed around nowhere less than $10,000 to make a joke. For a temporary time period. So it's like you have the money, you just don't spend it in the right place.
That's true. I will say that was promotion for making Minis Runaway Railway a little
bit.
Yeah,
this is true. Yeah.
But I don't know. I found the sign pretty funny. But yeah, probably 10,000 on that. Maybe not the best idea. Maybe a sign out front on like a billboard there would have been or like a freestanding billboard would have been better.
All of the great Disney Imagineers have gone to Universal, and now Disney is recruiting from Six Flags.
Ooh.
Ouch.
Well, remember the reports though that they hire top flight animators now from Tumblr, so they're probably hiring from somewhere on the internet and everything. I'm actually shocked that they, if I wasn't on certain lists of a darker variety, I would be shocked that they haven't approached me yet to do that kind of thing that they're doing. Oh wait, never mind. I don't meet certain qualifications. Sorry.
Yeah, you have that one disqualifying factor, Joshua.
Yes, we all know what it is, and we don't need to say it.
Integrity.
Yeah. Oh, with that, they hate that too. They really hate that. They hated that from my 20 years of being with the company. That is the thing that they hated the most. They hated the most for me to constantly be putting in front of their face. I'm like, do you see that these accomplishments of the past? You see all the stuff that we did, and you see all the crap that we're doing right now. That's a problem. And they just, for some reason, they didn't like it.
And to me, look, all of this is fascinating. All of this is disgusting. All of this is true. It's, to me, worse than the fact that all this store-bought, off-the-shelf, bought on the internet stuff is in there, is that nobody, and I mean nobody, even raised their hand and said, but is that the right thing for Disney to be doing? I had a friend who was the food and beverage manager of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and he was watching as another hotel chain, Kimpton, was putting like Wolfgang Puck into their hotels doing restaurants. And he says, you know what? I would love to do that, to license out the restaurants to somebody else, and it would save me money, and they have good names and all that. But you know what? You can only lose your reputation once. And if I did that and it was ever not perfect, I could never recover it. Well, Disney's gone beyond that point. They really have. And it's a damn shame.
It's so sad. Erica, I believe you wanted to say something right there. I want to go ahead and not get your thought. What did you think about all of this? Do you think, propping, well, it's something that they've done in the past. Is this okay in this instance? What are your thoughts about all this?
I mean, they, like Josh pointed out, they've done it, in the past, but they went about it in a better way. They were more authentic about it. There was a sense of integrity to their decorating when it came to theming, and they've completely lost that. They've just gotten very cheap. I mean, what they did there is what I would do at my house for my Halloween display. And I actually have looked at that exact little statue to purchase to put in my Halloween display. And
yours are better, Erica. Yours are better.
So you're the little one at
What?
the bottom of the Amazon listing.
Here's the reason why it's
users
qualitatively
bought
better.
this.
So here's the reason why it's qualitatively better. Erica is not charging you $200 per day to see it.
There you go.
No.
we know
and I
that?
give you free candy and popcorn.
Wait a minute, you're not charging admission, right, Erica? I mean, you're not doing any of that, right? Okay,
no,
good.
Not at all.
Jeez.
I wouldn't anyways, because it's for the community and it's just for fun.
Yeah.
Josh,
But
did you work at Tower of Terror?
Yes, for many
Okay.
years.
Yeah.
So it's just like it was one of my favorite jobs there. I developed a cult following. I even had a Facebook fan group for a little while. It was wonderful. You know, it's just like you had a really good day at the end. Sorry to self-aggrandize here, but there was you know, it was a good day when you had at the end of the day you had at least 40 to 50 people screaming your name when you came into the boiler room, and then you had like a little cult following at the end. I remember too, there were certain days where just like I was a little too good at my job. And so I would be waiting. I'm like, yeah, sure. I got out like 15, 30 minutes ago. But because it's not like something like the Magic Kingdom where you just duck inside the tunnels and everything, you had to go all the way down Sunset Boulevard in front of people and everything else. So, you know, I would wait for an escort. I'm just like, okay, who wants to walk me out? I became a little bit too more popular today. So you just keep on walking and everything.
TJ gave me my backstage tour of Tower of Terror, and I know you know who TJ is. And
I call him Master TJ. I've called him Master TJ for years.
Master TJ. And so, but that and the backstage tour of Haunted Mansion, you know, as a cast member, former cast member, going through those things, and you learn about all the things that Walt Disney World Imagineering, WDI used to like. There are antique props in there that I think. What are some of the most fun they were showing us?
Ron, you're breaking up.
Yeah, breaking up. Sorry, can you hear me?
A little bad.
Oh God, I thought it was just me. So
no, sorry about that. Hopefully, I'm okay now.
Yeah,
I think you are.
But yeah, so to see that's what's so heartbreaking is, you know, that was the best part of my cast member experiences, those backstage tours, honestly. But it's heartbreaking because future cast members are not going to get that same experience when they go to newer created things because it doesn't exist anymore. That's so sad.
You know, really, maybe we misunderstood. Maybe all of this is to try to make that little girl right when she says it's the antithesis of what Walt believed in.
Maybe maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about that. Oh, I gotta get that clip for this side. Goodness gracious. Somebody's joining us right now. I'm sure they have thoughts on this. And really, I think it's the only one who's actually visited this in person. Here we go. It is Bob.
Bob!
28.
Hey.
What's going on,
Hey,
good
Bob.
sir? We were just
Sorry
talking
for
about
joining late, but
hello there.
thanks for having me aboard. How are you guys doing?
Absolutely. Oh, doing very well. Thank you. We were just having a discussion about the various, well, propping, let's say, that this Haunted Mansion gift shop, Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond, seems to have employed. Some of those being from Amazon, some of those being from an AI generative art place called Redbubble. Other places like the Fountain, for example, located nearby, also off the shelf. What do you think about all this stuff, Bob? I'll go ahead and give you the final point on this before we move on to our next topic.
So it's funny because when I was on my Park Streamers hanging out the other night and I was going through some of the stuff, I hadn't noticed it. I have not seen it actually in person yet because I'm still blocked out. But one of my other friends on my channel, Cordy in California, she actually got a bunch of photos and videos. And I started going through it. I started recognizing some of the stuff and I started seeing the posts. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Really? They couldn't take the time to go and make this stuff? They had to buy some of it? I get, you know, having to buy a thing or two and to put it up. But to me, Disney's always made their own things. And that's what makes these attractions and these stores so special. I mean, even look at Ray's Berets. There's nothing that's bought in there. They actually took the time to make all these jars for all the different, you know, fireflies. They got the, you know, on the wall, they got the video screen. So they didn't skimp out there. They didn't skimp out at Lewis's Critter Club or, you know, or was it Tiana's mom's shop. But it seems to me that when it came to this gift shop, nothing has quite turned out the way I thought it was going to be. Now, I'm still waiting for my source to get back to me, because what I was told is that they were going to do, oh my gosh, there it is, the shed that looks just like it. And we've seen plenty of these from Home Depot and whatnot. But my source had told me they're going to put Museum of the Weird stuff inside. And it looks like there might be a couple things there, but they didn't really do a great job. And by the way, let's go to the outside here. So one of the things that, and it's not really well seen in this picture, but they actually, let's see, I think they added some of the herbs and potted plants up above. They added, by the way, there's some new lights on the side there by the front door. I think the part of the copper, maybe that's not it yet. They have, what is that? Rain gutters, copper rain gutters that go across to the top now. There we go. Oh, hey, this video looks familiar.
That's your
what
your
I
video.
sent you.
Yep, this is the one.
So you see these things are added, and you're like, okay, nice. Okay, they've added some things out here, and security guards out there. They were really nice. I got to talk to them. They definitely added a few new things, including that frame around the door. But you walk inside, it's got a fresh coat of paint on the outside. It's got a fresh coat of paint inside. And then did you see the ceiling, by the way?
Yeah, we pointed that out, the weathered beams.
Why is everything nice looking on the outside and the inside except for the roof area? It's not like it's an attic, so it's very eclectic. It's like, what is going on here? Plus, the lights are too bright, and need I let you or say the music inside is kind of loud too, just like they have around the Haunted Mansion. So I'm not sure what they're trying to do here, but obviously they've skimped out big time, because they didn't make it look like the concept art very well, especially on the outside. The inside had a ton of lampshades. Now I will give them kudos, because the lampshade that's above the actual crystal ball is one of the original lampshades from the Haunted Mansion. So that's awesome that they have that in there, and I'm glad they do. Kind of surprised that something like that is actually there for people can touch, because it's kind of low. So kudos to them. And they have some cool things on the outside, or on the inside up above. But they don't, I don't know. To me, it seems like they really skimped out. You've got some instruments coming through the mirrors, but they don't do anything. You got a crystal ball that you can touch, and it kind of makes, some noises and changes a little bit in color. But nothing really animates or moves. And the stuff they've just put around is just kind of So I'm going to see it this weekend, obviously, because I'm going to the parks, and I'll have a better idea of what it looks like once I get inside. I'm going to really kind of, look around and carefully see everything. But my whole thing is they didn't do a very good job on this at all. And the one complaint I hear from a lot of my friends who have seen it is, it looks huge from the outside and it's so tiny on the inside. And I knew it was going to be that way anyhow, because of the way it's set up. But they don't like how it transitions from New Orleans and the Haunted Mansion over to Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Right.
But I think one of the reasons why they have made it so big on the outside is so that you can't really see much of the Haunted Mansion from Tiana's Bayou Adventure and vice versa. Unfortunately, they just didn't do a very good job. It feels to me like Imagineers are just not doing everything they can to make these things cool. Now, I will tell you, just looking at it in general, it looks okay inside. Looks much better inside than it does, on the outside. However, once you start seeing the things that we're talking about here, where they're buying stuff and they're picking up stuff from Amazon and other places and other artwork places just to make this inside, what happened to the Imagineers that used to make all this by themselves? That's what kills me, is that we don't have any originality to this. It's like, oh, well, we'll just go ahead and, hey, we can get a frame, that looks like, something from the Home Depot and make this hut. And, and we can make this. And, here we go. I love this guy's artwork, by the way. He does some amazing stuff for Splash Mountain.
Yes, he does. Or at least he did. It's something bad is happening in Imagineering. That's what the Mountain King said here. Mm-hmm. I told him, I said, look, the bad thing has already happened. We're just looking at the fallout with all of this. Especially after 2020, especially after they lost so many great Imagineers to places like Universal or just retired in general.
Didn't lose, drove out.
That's
correct.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was driven out. I mean, like it was the same thing with Joe Rody. It's the same thing with several of my friends who are former Imagineers. It's just like one of them left. One of them, which shall remain nameless at this moment, left the moment that Chapek went inside the offices because he knew the writing on the wall there. Because one of as I've said before on some of these channels before, the two big problems that Chapek had is that Imagineering takes too long on attractions, and their portfolio Imagineers are way too overpaid. And that second one is just like, okay, then I'm out. I'll go ahead and I'll take early retirement, and he did. So. And he's very young. He's very young.
Well, they've sure fixed that takes too long, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then they release press releases. I saw one the other day. I put it in our back channel stuff. They finally, after 1 year, renovated a restroom in Frontierland. And they were showing off how beautiful it was. And I said, a year? A year?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Exactly
that's
what you're talking about. And I've used said restroom, and that thing did not need a year to be done. Just FYI.
Yeah, you were just holding it for a year, waiting, right?
Yeah, because you have this era of social media where they have social media entire teams that have to constantly put out
there it is.
Product
there
and everything.
Is.
Yeah, it's the Village House thing. It's is that they have to continuously go through and just like, okay, we're going to give this press release, we're going to give this one. I mean, if you want to stop and think about it for just a moment, I mean, think about if you were creating something as amazing as something like a Haunted Mansion or a Tower of Terror or Spaceship Earth or anything, just go all the way down the list of things, but then apply today's social media context onto it. By the time that the actual attraction opens, you would have seen every single detail in full light, in no show lighting the entire way through, and you would have been completely sick of it by the time that you went through, and you would have no wow factor, nothing that was unexpected. Yeah, that looks awful.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
really
the reason this took a year to do, because I was looking into this, part of it had to do with the election, because before that they were going through and trying to figure out how to cater to all the different genders that might use these restrooms. and then they had to change everything at the last minute and make it only two genders. So that was really weird for them, I'm sure.
It's a trap.
Wait a minute, that's not the one I wanted. Hang on a second.
Is that a dad joke, or are you being for real?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Are you serious or what?
No,
I could see them being serious.
Hey, you never know.
Hard to
Today,
tell
maybe I
satire.
am serious.
That's the reason why I'm
nice to
asking,
know,
because that's
though?
a totally believable story.
Isn't it nice to know that the sewage at Moana's Journey of Water has no gender? It's unisex. So, no matter where you start with the signs, it all goes down the same pipe. The broken.
It is pretty funny though that they ended up having to do that, like that overlay thing where they didn't even correct that when they redid the artwork for the female symbol on the women's bathroom. That just looks this is basically today's Imagineering in one picture. This really does say it all.
Because the thing
that's going right down the tubes.
You can look at it. Yeah, exactly. You could
even color in the lines.
Yeah, because you think about this though. This is the thing. Okay, so anybody who thinks that we're being super hypercritical or whatever it is about this and everything, think about this. There is a person who probably spent a good, I want to say 2 hours, if not 8, working on this one sign alone, and they thought this was a good idea. And then they had their supervisor, which looked at this sign, and then they approved it after this. That's how ridiculous this is. on so many levels. It's just like you cannot believe the amount of incompetence, the amount of totalitarianistic tendencies for it. And the reason why I say that is because I'm almost positive that the person who did this was a person of a protected class who were just like, well, we don't really want to say anything mean to them because then they might take us to HR or something. So yeah, what you did with this restroom sign, that was good. That was good. You did a great job.
I mean, I'm guessing Jeff Valley himself, didn't he have to sign off on all this? I mean, he
signs off on the budget, but he doesn't look at all the details. This went through like at least 2 levels of Imagineering. It had the person who did it, and then there was a person that was their supervisor, and then their supervisor on top of them did it. So you have at least two levels of people that said, "Yeah, this looks fine. Go ahead and put it out."
Yeah, but it's not sad that like nobody in upper management walks past this and goes, "Wait a second, guys, we are Disney. We have to fix this." Like that's what's because there's no way 10, 15 years ago. Somebody passing this, trying to sign off on this 15 years ago, they would have been like, excuse me, we're Disney. This doesn't happen at Disney. And now it does.
Yeah.
But that's what's so sad. It never took that long before. It seems like as the years have gone on, and I know we've lost some Imagineers and stuff, but it just takes longer and longer to get the simplest things done. Now, I will say, especially when it comes to Disneyland, a lot of pipes and electrical there are pretty old and pretty beat up, and it is taking a lot longer than it should because of that. But at the same time, it just blows me away that that they're taking forever to make these things happen when they should be happening fairly quickly.
Imagine there's no reason. I've seen restaurant staff members put in more effort on a bathroom sign than that.
Right.
Like, this is just pitiful.
I don't mean to single anybody out, but there is a comment right now that I feel that I need to address here. Because somebody said in the chat, they used a term that triggers me, which is the term normie. There is no such thing as that. Everyone is a normie. Everyone is a normie. You are insulting the intelligence of every single person on this chat and every single person on the planet when you call them a normie, because you're saying that they're stupid. Well, they're unintelligent and they won't notice anything. They know everyone notices everything. It's just that they don't articulate it in the way that we're doing at this particular moment.
Well, to defend the commenter, just one moment. I believe they are impersonating somebody who might have signed off on that. That's what they would have said.
Right, but it's a sentiment that it permeates all of social media, and really, I'm not coming down specifically on that person, or I'm not trying to gatekeep or anything of that nature. Yeah. But this is an illustration of a real nasty tendency with our society right now to use terms like normie. So,
but doesn't correct me if I'm wrong, Vash, you might know this. I feel like I remember Pro reporting on this in the past. Doesn't Disney as an entity have a term that they refer to what you would normally most people call a normie as? Don't they have like a lingo they use within the Disney sphere? Because I feel like I remember something like that from a year ago, like it's professionally used by them.
So, like if you're talking
unfavorable
about
mix, is that what you're talking about? Unfavorable?
Unfavorable mix, yeah. No, they so like coaster enthusiasts, for example, they use the term GP or general public, right? Not the enthusiast, but the general public. That would be kind of a term that's kind of used around the industry. But I think what the mum was talking about it is I could absolutely see somebody who just did not care saying, "Oh yeah, the normies will." They won't even notice. It's good enough. Let's just move on. And it seems to be good enough is like the driving force behind creativity at Imagineering right now, which is a real shame to say. But I think that is the driving principle there. I mean, look at Tiana by Adventure. Look at Cuminacore Hall. Look at all these other projects that we've seen. We just talked about the not only the restrooms, but also the Haunted Mansion quite in depth. Good enough seems to be the principle of the day. It's really sad.
I still press my conspiracy theory about all this, which is they know damn well what they're doing, and they're doing it for a reason. They say we can take the flack from the fans, but we now are building we're building a whole new generation of people who don't have those standards, never will have them, and are able to just, tolerate it. And in the future, they won't ask those questions.
That is 100% correct. That is the long game that they are playing right now. They are playing the long game that they think that okay, if we go ahead and we dumb down all of our standards to a ridiculously low level, we're going to sour the milk of all of these Disney diehards. They're not going to come in anymore, and then we can cater towards more of a, sorry to use a pejorative, a Six Flags clientele the entire way through, but meanwhile be able to still charge Disney prices for that and think that you're actually going to be able to accomplish that. This is a long game that will not work in the long run.
Because they don't exist
in
in a vacuum.
Care, so.
Because they don't exist in a vacuum. Because when people go see the stuff we've seen previews of down the road, no competition. No competition. And free dining if you buy a multi-day super duper park hopper ding dong pass, ain't gonna buy it back.
I don't think I want the ding dong pass.
No? How about the ho ho pass?
That's the thing. If you're trying to get more revenue out of these parks, you have to be putting some stuff back in, and we're just simply not seeing that. But we are seeing the competition step up their game each and every day. We'll see if these paths conflict in some way.
As I said, during COVID, when they slowed down all the construction, for example, on Tron, and they thought, well, we're not going to see the revenue anytime soon, so what the hell?
Right.
The problem was, of course, all that time, inflation was making actually doing it twice as expensive.
Correct.
And so in the long run, they were screwed either way.
Oh.
That's just such short-sighted management.
And then it also
used to be that way.
And it really destroys your credibility because what I've heard countless times on this show and in many other shows is just like, well, it takes Disney 10 to 15 years to do a bathroom. I'm just like, no, it can be done in 6 months. This was a budgetary decision. This was not a creative or competence level decision. That's the biggest problem with it, is that I'm just like, so no, you're not being clever. You're not pinching a penny. Everyone thinks that you're incompetent, which is one of the worst things that you could call anybody, really, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, especially because you're dealing in something that's not just about image and illusion and feel. It's about safety. If people think you're incompetent, it's like, I don't think I necessarily want to put my body at risk on that. But did you see the story I just put over there, Vash? The Tortuga, which was announced it's going to reopen, didn't and isn't, and they don't know when. I mean, it's one thing to have something take a year. It's another thing to announce on such and such a date, this will be there, and oops, couldn't meet the date, and I'm not making any further predictions, which means it ain't going to be soon.
There was another project that didn't meet its date. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. I know the Pixie Hollow, back me up on this. Pixie Hollow's been pushed back multiple times at Disneyland in terms of project timelines and so forth. We've been seeing this a lot recently, actually. I do wonder why that is. I know they're pushing some stuff off to quarter in order to kind of reduce capital expenditures for that particular quarter, but usually projects like this are usually fully funded up in advance only because it's a direct revenue stream for the company. This is why we're seeing the the new DVC resort next to Fort Wilderness go up so fast, because they stand to make a lot of money directly from that.
Right.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Every day this isn't open, and what used to be there isn't open, is a day they're not selling whatever they're selling, for God's sakes. The opportunity cost of these delays is huge, putting aside the cost of doing it.
But if I'm the head of food and beverage at Magic Kingdom, and I can go ahead and I can cut costs, and that will make me look better, and then I can go ahead and I can get a promotion later. I don't really care about the park. I just care about making myself look good on a budgetary line basis.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the carriage house over there.
True, yeah.
We were just talking about the carriage house in Haunted Mansion. That didn't open. You would think it would be open probably November in order to take advantage of the Christmas season. But that didn't open until after annual pass holders were blocked out, as Bob just mentioned there. And I completely forgot about that detail. You would have thought that they would have moved heaven and earth and to get that open as quickly as possible in order to take advantage of that Christmas revenue from both the annual pass holders and the day guests coming in there during that 2-week blockout period. I'm just. It's a head scratcher why these things are delayed the way they are.
I think it's a multitude of factors that you're dealing with. You're dealing with they're placating children most of the time when they're dealing with all the people that have to work on these projects, and it really a lot of it has to do with something that Disney is in a death spiral for many different situations, and they don't want to have anybody go out of the line. It's just like, okay, fine, if we don't have it open right now, then it's okay, it's good, it'll be all right. We don't need to do anything with this. And also, there's no actual ownership with any of these projects, because the thing that I've always found puzzling to me is just like, they have such a scarcity mindset with all of their projects and every single one of their budgets that it's just like, okay, well, yeah, okay, we only can make so much money. We can't make actually more money. We just make so much money with this. It's just it's incompetence all the way down with it.
Is it possible too that the revenue from the parks is not nearly what they would like it to be right now? I mean, it just seems like all the discounts they're giving, all of the things. Yeah. So Walt Disney World and the parks in general, but specifically Walt Disney World, it's the core revenue for this company. It's the most revenue. It's the biggest piece of the revenue pie, if you will, for the Walt Disney Company. But it seems to me like that they've been pulling money away from the parks to put it to Disney Plus, which is sucking money out. And it just, I don't know, to me, the word incompetence is the right word to use when it comes to all of this. It just, none of it really makes sense from a corporate standpoint of, if you are going to want to make money, you want to do this. Diminishing the guest experience at the thing that makes you the most money is going to diminish the amount of money that you make.
But look at all the profoundly stupid and short-sighted decisions that they've been making over at least the last 5 years. I could argue 15, but it's all they don't. I don't think that the people in Burbank like to be thought of as a theme park company. They like to be thought of as a motion picture studio. They like to be thought of as a quote unquote prestige property where they go ahead and they just make movies. And that's the reason why that they've made the parks subservient to movies. That's the reason why that they only do IP attractions now, because it's all about this really strange concept that I heard about 10 years ago where they're just like, oh yeah, we need to support the newest whatever. It's just like, okay, yeah, Frozen is doing well, so we need to support it in the parks. I'm like, well, if it's doing well, then what do we need to do supporting it? Let it support itself. It's fine. Why do we need to go ahead and do something here?
Why if it was doing well in the early 2000s, are they just now putting it in the parks like Monsters Incorporated, for example? I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know. To me,
you can go more simply. If Moana was the number one, and it was and may still be, princess, if you will, of everything, and huge demand in reruns on Disney Plus, and huge. You wait how long, and then you open a splash pad?
Oh, it's horrible.
For God's sakes, if that doesn't deserve a real attraction, what does?
Well, Disney just needs to get into take all those funds they're making, instead of allocating it to the parks or Disney Plus, they just need to put it into a vacuum cleaner company, because all they know how to do right now is suck. So,
this is the thing. This is the thing about
Disney's Hoover.
I think Josh was right. I think he's off just a little bit, because it's not that they only, it's not that they think of themselves as just purely an entertainment company. They attempt to list themselves on the New York Stock Exchange as a technology company, which is completely bizarre, because what technology are you talking about?
Did you look at that video I found from that Poseidon guy?
Right.
About Disney's the worst tech company in the world, and he's got some very wise stuff to point out.
And I agree with him. because
Yeah,
he's talking about the holotile floors. He's talking about the pet projects from Imagineering and how they have these audio-animatronic technologies, or the
well, for
exosuit or
just
whatever.
one example, he says, look at Navi River. It's
Right.
pretty, it's okay, but it's all about that one amazing animatronic. And yeah, it's an amazing animatronic. But that's all there is, because there's nothing left over out of spending money on that. And they're showing off, look at what we can do. Swell. When are you going to do it 10 times? When are you going to do that? And meanwhile, have Tiana staring off into space all day long.
If you guys remember, I was telling you that this was the case because of Bruce Vaughn being in charge of Imagineering, because Bruce and Vaughn is in charge of the R&D department, and that's the problem with him. I mean, yeah, sure, he can get projects done, but are they projects that are going to have staying power? Most likely not, because all that he's going to do is he's just going to fund these R&D projects all the way through. Like, he won't ever. The thing that you can do to really fix a lot of the situations that are happening inside of these parks is that you just if you would make a simple boat ride or a simple Omnimover ride that has a really amazing experience that you could have, that
tells a story simply and cogently that makes you care. May I point out Fantasy Springs in Japan?
Correct. Yeah. Exactly.
Look at the pictures. I mean, look, there is no fancy animatronic in that the Rapunzel thing, but it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful. And oh my God, if you can't make something, if you can obviously make something look at the Frozen ride there. How relatively simple animatronics, but with all the effects and everything else, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. And if you can give people a beautiful experience that tells the story and makes them come out humming the songs, you won. Have they done that in the last 10 years? I don't think so. And on that cheerful note, what else you got, Vash?
So you can see
there.
You can see.
There you go.
What Lou was talking about right here.
Look at
just
this
some
thing.
Really,
I mean, and there's some videos you can find online. They're not doing anything. They're sitting in the boat staring at each other. But God, it's beautiful. Look, she's a totally limited animatronic. All she does is swing around that tree. She doesn't have facial animation, nothing. But it works. It tells the story, and you care, and you get the mood and the excitement and the joy.
Yes, absolutely.
All those years chasing down a daydream. All those nights.
Oh boy. Well, we have a couple more stories in order to go over. But before we do, let me go ahead and get some super chats right here real fast. Let's see here. We got a couple from Go and Shogi. Very generous. Thank you so much with the 499. The only animals in the carriage house is us. We're all donkeys for hoping Disney could pull off. Well, I used to make the joke that, Tiana's My Adventure is a salt mine. And in Pinocchio, in the attraction, the dark ride at Disneyland in Fantasyland, the one added in 1983 with the whole reimagining of that land, you do go through the entire story, and one of the elements that's in there is you almost get turned into a donkey, and you're supposed to be sent over to the salt mine. You have the guy lifting the crate in order to put you in there and stuff before you get away. My thing is, I remember when salt mines were bad, but now they want us to, go over to the salt mine. So, in a weird way, Go and Shogi, you're spot on there.
I don't really want to be honest. If they really want to be honest, in the finale of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Disneyland, the devil should all be holding lightning lane passes.
Here you go. Oh boy!
I don't like the jokes about these seasoned veterans working at the salt mines. Only the seasoned veterans. If you know who those seasoned veterans are, it's pretty darn offensive.
Yeah,
I agree. Erica, you were saying?
Oh no, it was Barry's face earlier.
One of the
I tend to make those faces when I'm hearing some of these things.
One of the greatest jokes, by the way, in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, is that the judge that sentences you to prison, basically, before you're you're taken there, you get hit by a train, you're sent to hell. The judge is also the devil.
Yes.
And in the original movie, he's also the prosecutor. So he's got a lot of roles in this thing.
That's
Now, is he currently played by Bob Iger, or
there's some
he will be by 2036. So he'll be. By
Oh no! Don't say that. Don't say that, Joshua. Go and Shoku with another $5. How long does it take to put up a prefab shed versus how long Disney took? What's the time difference given how the pre-made went into this?
Most
how
of
much
those kit prefab barn sheds like that are 4 to 6 days total, and that's assuming you have the foundation ready. So and that's to you and your brother-in-law, not supposedly professional people. So
hey, you call in the Amish, and that thing is done in 2 hours.
Hey, listen,
That's
I had
true.
to replace two of these what they call tough sheds. These like 10 by 20 sheds in my house after they got burned up in the fire. And these guys come out with all the pieces on a flatbed truck, and wham, bam, there they are in about 3 hours or 4 hours, complete with air vents and solar lighting things. And they got it down to a science, and it works. So it's very easy.
One of the things that it reminded me of, though, is that is one of the points is that, excuse me, when they're doing these projects, like I think that they, even if you were to give them the benefit of the doubt, and you would think that this new gift shop was great and wonderful, one of the big problems that they have is that I'm just like, well, shouldn't you have kept the wall up a little bit more? I mean, shouldn't you have made it obscured from the public? Because one of the big things that you have, like when you're doing anything creative or constructive or whatever it is, it looks really bad until like the very last moment of it. So let's say that they were going to do, because I did notice that they've applied a slightest bit of weathering on the side of the on the side of the carriage house recently. That I'm like, well, you should have done that before you actually dropped the walls, because you have all these people that are on social media, like us and everything, that are going to criticize the heck out of it before it actually is completely done. So to give them the slightest bit of a benefit of a doubt, I'm just like, keep up the walls until you're done. Don't show it to us until you're done. So,
take those enhancements that we saw where they've added the little flower pots and what have you. It's like, oh, yeah, we got to do something. Well, put that up. That'll satisfy them. No, it won't. Oh, well, put this up. Maybe that'll fix it. Now that should happen before the public ever sees it, for God's sakes. But that presumes that somebody in charge sees the absence. They don't. And by the way, can I ask another really dumb question? It's a retail location. This is the company that creates all those wonderful windows for the Emporium and understands how to get people into a store. How come you can't see inside anywhere with this thing? There's no windows and almost no doors. But it's just, what invites you to go in?
I wouldn't go in there. I mean, why go in there at all with it? And it's not as if they're hurting for Haunted Mansion merchandise anywhere else in the entire location. If you want to be able to find Haunted Mansion merchandise at the Disneyland Resort, you are going to be able to find it. And if you really want it, it's going to be there. Putting it in front of your face when you're going outside of an attraction is not really going to improve things for you. It's not. I don't think that it's actually going to. I don't even think that this is going to make the budget that it is projected to make. To be quite honest with you, I'm like, yeah, sure, you've put up a merchandise location, but I mean, like, most of the time, like if you're an actual, if you're an AP, or if you're somebody who's been inside the parks and everything, do not buy anything until the end of the night, because you're going to have to go ahead and carry around all that stuff. Right. So just even with the metric that they put this in the first place for, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, anyway, going back to why it opened or took so long to open and why they took the walls down when they did. I mean, basically, so they had started working on this, before Tiana's opened, and the walls were still up. But as soon as Tiana's opened, walls came down, because I think they were doing their media nights and wanted everyone to see, what it looked like, even though they hadn't opened up the queue line yet for Haunted Mansion. Magnolia Gardens was technically, being shown as well. I think they were trying to like, oh, look at all this new great stuff that we have, even though we're not done. And so I get why they did that. But at the same time, they weren't done. So they should have kept up the walls. They shouldn't have, lowered them down. It seemed like it took forever for them to, open this. And then they kept teasing everyone saying, it's going to open in winter, going to open in winter. And I even was talking about it because the video that you saw VashSky showing earlier that I took was taken on December 20th. It's the last day that we go before we were blocked out. And they opened up the shop the following Monday. Huh. And it was kind of a joke with me and some of my friends, like, I bet you they're going to open this when, we're all blocked out. So it's going to make people want to buy tickets to come into this park and see what it looks like. And sure enough, people did that, especially the streamers and whatnot. But to me, it was like, oh, well, Disney just took this whole time to put up this shed. It could have been done, lickety split, could have been done and ready for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but they chose to wait and wait and wait. And to me, it's not really worth the wait. Now, I will say they need to have their own shop. I just think this is the wrong place to put it. I think it looks too big where it's at compared to the way it is inside. And they have most of the same merchandise they had than before at the other shop over there in New Orleans. But they have a few new things, but it's not like, hey, there's nothing there that makes me go, I got to go there and buy this right now. And there was nothing like that for Tiana's either. That's why Tiana's, Bayou Adventure merch did not sell very well. There was nothing to go, oh, I need to go get that, Firefly, or I need that, Spirit jersey, or I need that backpack. Nothing was like, oh, I got to have it. And I thought it was hilarious how they put that store up in the Starcade and it failed and they didn't sell really anything for Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
It's really stunning. Coach Shoki has another one just on this as well with another $5. Thank you so much, Cohen Shoki. Does Lowe's sell a pre-made Monsters Inc. door coaster? Asking for a friend.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a big controversial thing, obviously, because, look at that. They're taking, what they already have and turning it into Monsters Inc. land. And to me, yes, you can do that, but you're taking away, the Muppets 3D, show, and you're putting it over in the Rock and Roll Coaster. Okay, that's kind of a cool idea. I'm good with that. But if you're just going to take stuff that already exists and throw stuff on top of it, it just seems to me that Disney's gotten really lazy. I understand they have already got the infrastructure up there, so hey, why not reuse it? But they need to make changes. It can't look the same. If it looks exactly the same with some Monsters Inc. stuff on there, it's just going to look blah. It's not going to be as exciting as everyone thinks it is. And to be honest with you, as exciting as that D23, concept art looks of it, and it looks really cool, I don't know that that's what we're going to be getting. So we'll see, because their concept art has not been consistent.
What?
What they do.
No, that's hardly true. Look how close the Tiana's was.
By the way,
I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding.
It's tough stuff. It is. Oh, this is all very, very rough. But we have to say goodbye to one of our panelists right now. It's very, very late where she is at the moment. I believe it's what? I want to say past midnight. Where
like
you
one?
are?
Oh, midnight.
Yeah. I got a cold, so I
it's
need
at least
to
a midnight's edge.
Erica, get well.
Yeah, I hope you feel better.
I need to go to bed.
Give all our love to Raph too.
Will do. Thanks for having me. I will be much better next week. I have the weekend to recoup. But anyway, you'll have a great evening and love you guys. See y'all next week, hopefully.
Happy New Year,
Erica. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us and being a trooper and doing it. Make sure, everybody, that you subscribe to Erica and Raf's channel right here. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the comment section. Should already be in the description if it's not already. Go ahead and get you all taken care of. Thank you so much, Erica.
Good night, Erica.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Hey, Erica.
Good night.
Good night. And her link is going to be in the chat right now, which is very, very cool. And thank you so much, Go and Chogi, for all the super chats. Very much appreciate it. And I saw this comment from Jim T right here. 1983 remodel of Fantasyland took it to another level. I do agree. I really, really like New Fantasyland at Disneyland. It's awesome.
It's one of the rare situations in the entire history of the company where a remodel was actually significantly superior to the original.
I agree. I agree with that.
Although I
so
do miss
good.
Skull Rock and the ship.
This is true. They did try to save it, though. If you remember that, they did try to save the Chicken of the Sea restaurant, but when they tried to pick it up, it collapsed. And so,
Yes, I know. Bummer.
yeah.
So sad.
Ask
Terrible.
any mermaid you happen to see, but don't ask Ariel. She's somewhere else. Anyway,
Well, almost 10 years after New Fantasyland would open, well, we got a show on the Rivers of America called Fantasmic, opening in the summer of 1992. In fact, yes, actually, do you remember what the opening tag was for that show?
be there when the night ignites.
That's right. And
I was there.
When the night ignited.
Well, you see, laughing a little bit here because that was during the summer of the Rodney King riots. And LA literally did ignite at that time. So Disney quickly backed off of that little tag there. But for those who know their history, they know the night. Well, it did ignite. Lou, now you were there, and you always have a great story to tell.
That story about the opening,
Please.
I was there on a press deal for the grand opening, and it was about 2 weeks after Elizabeth Taylor had rented the entire park out for Michael Jackson's birthday. You might remember.
Oh wow!
And so Eisner's up there on the press stand when everybody's assembled for the big talk, and he's got like 5x7 cue cards, and he's intentionally being very. We'd like to thank you all for coming to this wonderful new show. Da, 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 da. And from the back comes Maleficent, a really good Maleficent. And she says, "Hold on a minute, Eisner. You can't have a magic show without a sorceress." And he says, "Maleficent, you?" She says, "You were expecting that Taylor woman again?" And the hard-boiled press died laughing because they understood. Disney understood PR and how to make it happen. And they took us all underneath, and we saw all the pumps and the everything, and it was amazing. It was just plain amazing. It was also dangerous as hell, which it's always been, because if you're not standing on the right place at the right time, it's going to go up whether you're ready to go up or not. So it was all very carefully choreographed and very carefully done. Maybe not so much no more.
Yeah, that was the old days, Lou. New days, well, we just put it on, Windows machine, and we just let it play here, apparently. You can see right here, this was not Disneyland's version of this attraction, but actually at Disney's Hollywood Studios, a little, neck of the woods that Joshua Harris was at. You can see right there.
Yikes.
Didn't quite work out. On that one right there.
That was Mickey's magic finger of fate.
Yeah. So you have a cursor playing in the middle of this.
I saw they could have had like Minecraft in like a tab in the top corner or something like that. It could have been worse.
Go ahead.
Well, and there's all these shows. There's certain things. I had some friends come out from Florida who were Disney people, but had never seen it because it wasn't there yet. And the big pink elephants on parade scene. Afterwards, my friend said, "Why were they yelling bag of dirt for pachyderm?" That's what he heard. So,
what's really sad though is that when Fantasmic came out, it was amazing. It was wonderful. It was great. And I got to say, up until Murphy, burning down, it was doing, pretty well with the public. And it's gotten to the point where now people don't even, people are going to see it, sure, but it's not highly regarded as this amazing show like it was before. And I got to tell you, so I recently did 2 24-hour marathon streams for New Year's and for Christmas and Day. And one was suggested to me, "Hey, do you have any old footage of the original Fantasmic? And can you do a 24-hour stream of that?" Unfortunately, I didn't. But that would have been really cool. But I had a lot of people request that because they want to see the old original Fantasmic. They're upset and they're tired of the B, show that they're getting or see show.
Yeah.
It's just sad, and it's not just the same. And to see stuff like this, no, it's a mistake, obviously, right? But that's a pretty bad one. You never saw stuff.
Well,
like
and it goes on for the whole show, right? It's like nobody looked up and said, "Oh shit, let's get rid of that." You know, it never.
Well,
nobody
I
knew
wondered.
how.
My question is with that one. First of all, fun fact: that entire show is run off of Linux. So that's one thing. But then I wonder if that actually eventually did go away, or did they notice it and everything? Because they do have a lot of contingency plans. I've seen the show because I believe that this is the Walt Disney World version, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't tell because it's such a narrow point of view. But yeah, so I've seen the show from the control booth. They have hundreds and hundreds of contingency plans for every single show about exactly what to do. I wonder though, because this is so early on in the performance, my guess is that they probably solved this by the time that they went to the next scene, and they had somebody go ahead and wiggle the mouse over to the opposite direction.
So embarrassing, though, Joshua.
Yeah,
Now,
it is.
If they were there,
But this kind of thing happens all the time. I worked at Fantasmic. I worked there twice. When I started with the company, I worked there in merchandise, and then when I transferred divisions, you had to. It was at the time when you were at the studios. Like everyone started at Fantasmic, so I had to start there again when I worked in operations. And yeah, this kind of thing it happens every single show. This is just the way that the way that the internet is. Most of the time, you don't notice it at all. This one's a kind of a glaring example, but there are so many times where people don't even notice the difference between, oh yeah, this performer wasn't out, or this one wasn't there, or the snake wasn't there, and all that sort of thing. So,
well,
did anybody care enough to pay attention? That's the question.
Yeah, that's my worry for sure when it comes to this. This is the other thing too about contingencies. I know there's a range of contingencies that the company has or does employ when it comes to putting on this show right here, but this one is a little bit unique over here. So this
here we go.
Walt Disney World
This is
News
the other
today.
story.
Mark Twain Riverboat missing and no characters appear in Fantasmic finale at Disneyland. This is by Lauren
Yeah.
Shahan.
That is definitely that's definitely a faux pas. So that they because they didn't even do the plan B.
Which is them on the island dancing around rather than on the boat. But nope.
Exactly. This is kind of what's really, really weird about the story. Fantasmic finale at Disneyland was a bit empty yesterday, December 26th, as the first performance of the night ended without its usual character-filled finale featuring the Mark Twain Riverboat. The Fantasmic finale C mode at Disneyland. As the nighttime spectacular nears its close, the Mark Twain Riverboat glides across the rivers of America packed with beloved Disney characters waving to guests in the crowd. In a situation where the Mark Twain Riverboat isn't working, the show does have a contingency plan where the characters will instead gather on Tom Sawyer's Island. However, last night's first show saw an empty finale as the riverboat was missing and no characters or performers were present on Tom Sawyer's Island. Instead, the 2-minute finale consisted of just lights and music. This is what's really bizarre about this whole thing. Now, this video comes from Main Street Cowgirl right here, and I believe I might have to skip. Yes, one of our good friends, actually. Met her before. Very cool. You can see at this point in the show, if the Mark Twain isn't going across, you can see all the lights. They're actually trained on the island itself because they're setting up for, the B mode here where the characters should be. And yet they're not there either. And this is what's really bizarre about this whole thing. And again, this isn't a low stakes show either, especially nowadays. See, my cursor's in the way. We'll go ahead and get my cursor out of there. There, perfect.
I want to make sure it's yours and not theirs.
Exactly, right? This isn't a low stakes show anymore because now you're selling dining packages at Riverboat Terrace, Cafe Orleans, Blue Bayou, Rancho del Zocalo, etc., where you could be very well charged upwards of $80 per person per night to see the show in reserved spots. And here you didn't actually get the finale that maybe you expected to see. Give you guys an idea of what this finale actually looks like. Got some B-roll here that we'll go ahead and
Did Mickey come out at the end to say some imagination, at least?
Yes, he did come out at the end to say, some imagination, before bouncing down there. Let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go.
Doing his Australian accent, eh?
He said, viewers, use your imagination and visualize what could be on this boat.
Here you go. So that's what this finale should look like, filled with characters. Obviously, Mark Twain going across. Now, it's not super rare. It kind of is rare if the Mark Twain doesn't actually go, but it's not super uncommon, I should say. And the reason why that might be is because in show mode, this thing like zips through the river. It has to in order to make its mark. So it's probably, I would say, twice the speed almost from when it's usually in attraction mode. And because this is an actual steam wheeler, well, one could surmise that things happen and perhaps it's not able to move on its own power, or maybe it's down for refurbishment. No biggie, we get the characters on the island. What's really strange here is that even that didn't actually take place.
And
My
the
thing
second
is,
show was perfectly normal, supposedly.
Supposedly, yes. I would, I think so.
So
I think maybe they had an issue with the Mark Twain at that moment that prevented them from going across the river, as you see right here, and perhaps that it was found in such a time in which the characters couldn't actually make their way onto the island itself, or perhaps they didn't get the all clear to go in that section of the island after the Maleficent portion concluded. I'm not quite sure what happened here. It's very bizarre.
So
It's actually, it's all just a big preview for what's going to happen in the future. Instead of seeing this beautiful ending of the show, this big climax, instead you're going to see Mickey coming around on top of Lightning McQueen or some other cars, whatever else they're going to replace that boat with, and just zipping around. It's like, what's up, kids?
Ka-chow!
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah.
You were going to say.
I will tell you that in the past, when the boat, the Mark Twain can't go around the river, like you said, they usually put the characters on the, island and everything's fine. I've seen that happen many, many times. And I understand sometimes, Mark Twain breaks down. It happens. Now, it did happen on the 20th as well, by the way. And since we didn't have a show last week, I didn't get to talk about that. But it actually broke down the very first show. But here's the crazy thing. It broke down during the scene, and they actually cut. They just ended the show right then and there. They told everyone, sorry, end the show. That's it. And that's really weird because normally they don't do that. Usually the show just, continues on. But since it's the finale, they just ended the show because the Mark Twain wasn't working. So they didn't even get to see the very end of the show. They just said, sorry, folks, show is, canceled for the rest of the night. We will have another show. They did the next show, and they did have the Mark Twain docked, and it was not part of the show. And they have the characters on the island just like that. So the second show went off without a hitch. The problem I have, though, like you were saying earlier, is that all these people are really getting cheated, especially the people who pay to get these dinners and they have these, seats and everything. And then they go see a subpar show. Now, I know things don't always work, right? But when you're charging people a lot of money for these meals, Fantasmic dining plans, and then they get a subpar show, to me, it's really, really sad. And that's why people are just tired of seeing, like my viewers, they don't even say, oh, let's go see Fantasmic. They'd rather go see the fireworks or World of Color or something else because it's just not the show that it used to be. And if it ever comes back to being the show that it was before, and if they do bring back the dragon, I'm sure a lot more people want to see it. And again, a lot of people do want to see it still, especially people from out of town who haven't seen it in a while. But most of the time when I talk to friends and family who come to see it and they haven't seen it in a while, they're like, did this happen before? Because I don't remember it being like this. And wasn't it, this scene different? And, they recall what they remember and it's not the same. And then they're disappointed because it's like, well, I feel like I got a subpar show. I got the C or B version instead of, the A version. And again, things happen, things break down. It's just really sad to see it happen a lot. And they're cutting pyrotechnics as well.
Yeah. The thing about it is, though, and yes, there are numerous amounts of pieces and parts that make up something that creates a whole. But Fantasmic is Maleficent versus Mickey. Mm-hmm. It just is that, and it is Maleficent in the dragon form of her. That is the logo for the actual experience. The logo is Mickey versus Maleficent the dragon.
Yep.
They should not have brought this show back until that dragon was there. This is, yeah, sure, okay, fine, you lose, right? Well, then fine. Then you can hurry up and you can get finished with the new Murphy. if you want to have an incentive to do this, yeah, go ahead and do it. But the problem with it right now is that you have this subpar show here that is still selling dining packages. It is still, it's just like, okay, well, we don't have too many complaints for it. So where's the impetus to improve? Where's the drive to get that dragon back inside the show as quickly as possible? When I was working at the studios about this, if they didn't have the dragon in there, they actually compensated people. If you went to guest relations and complained, you got another day. You could come back in with an after 4 pass inside of the park, and then you could go and you can watch the show again.
Well, and people, they call Murphy because of Murphy's Law. Anything that can happen will happen. In the case of the Murphy Dragon that replaced the original iteration of the Dragon at Disneyland, that was for their famous Summer Nightastic promotion, which you'll remember didn't actually make the promotional period. It had so many problems and delays that it couldn't actually make it for that summer, but did obviously make it eventually. Now, what you're seeing on screen right here isn't even the B mode for this. It's actually the C mode because Maleficent's Lift I guess, didn't work either. So I think people are getting quite the reduced show here. And Ron, I don't know how long you were waiting for that joke, but I got it.
Let's face things.
Sorry,
break.
There was an Imagineer that was working my spot here for a second.
I see.
Well, I was going to say things break.
Yeah.
But if you keep up maintenance, they break less and they break predictably because you see something wearing out.
Right.
When I took that press tour when it first opened, and they showed me the projectors that are making the images on the water, the film was this very heavy film, unlike any movie film you've ever seen. And it was so tough that even then they had to replace it every so many weeks with new prints. But the film was more likely to tear the sprockets off the sprocket wheels than it was vice versa.
Yeah, because
that's how engineered it was.
Yeah, well, they knew that they had to make it bright enough so it would actually show up onto the mist screen. So that was a 70 millimeter print. It was close to IMAX.
Right.
And then they also had they also used the I believe that they used there. I know that they used them at Walt Disney World when they still had film, because now it's all digital. But when they did it with that one, they also had the iWorks cabinets, which I did a whole research paper on that when I was in high school, which removes a lot of the wear and tear on the film and everything. So
right, but let's also remember that this technique of projecting onto water they took from the Saint Lumiere shows over in France at the chateaus.
That's true.
So they made it better, yes, but anyway.
Fun fact: does anybody know what the name of the dragon is for the Disney World version?
Oh, I knew this at one point. Got it.
I have literally petted that dragon, and I can't remember what. Oh God! They told us. I remember in doing the tour, the backstage tour. That was another fun one too. Being able to get on the boat and steer the boat where Steamboat Willie normally is. But it's a really simple name.
It's Vivian. Her name is Vivian. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that kind of stuff.
Well, on my finale trip to Disneyland before we moved east, a friend who was a longtime cast member, through him I got to go up and drive the Twin and do the answering horn thing with the train, and that's a bucket list thing, guys. That really is.
Yes.
That really, really is.
That's super cool. That's awesome. Nolan, you were going to say?
I'm just saying, I know it's a little more just opinion territory here, but it's just such a shame because if the whole of Disney World was on fire, well, first up, oh God. Second off, top 10 things I would save, this would be near the top. First time I ever went to Hollywood Studios, that was really the thing that just cemented Disney for me. But first time I went there, I was not all about, learning about the lore and the history of Disney. I wasn't the guy who would be on these shows talking about Disney stuff with everybody. I didn't care about Disney that much, but one of the things that did hook me on Disney was that show. I was just in awe. There were sparkles in my eyes seeing that show, how they projected it onto the water, the animatronic dragon in all its glory, instead of being like a cheap CGI junk they'd put on a screen. That thing was awesome. The pyrotechnics were great. Cool. And it just shows how much they have cheapened with this lousy excuses they just keep coming up with. It takes a year to do a bathroom. How long is it going to take to fix a freaking dragon? You have to ask. Like,
here's the question you have to ask. How long did it take to build the first one? I bet less than it's taking to build the replacement. With all of the advances in modern technology and everything else and knowledge. So,
well, I think it is, and I think it's ridiculous that it's taking so long. I mean, I know that, you know, Vash, I think your source had said that it was going to be about a year after they opened Fantasmic before they brought it back. My source was saying the same thing. And I was like, why? Why? I mean, is there a reason why they're waiting a whole year? Or is there a reason why, you know, I mean, was it an OSHA thing, or was it a Disney thing? Or, I mean, is it really going to take that long to make this dragon? Or is it going to be something totally new and we don't know? And unfortunately, my source hasn't said exactly what the dragon is going to be, but I'm hoping that they're going to bring it back this year, and they need to.
And meanwhile, speaking of things that flame, not only is that Burning Blade Tavern with the windmill at Epic, they've got 2 different fuel mixtures, one for daytime and one for nighttime to make sure it's visible. For God's sakes.
Oh. See, I think this is what's going to take. I think once we see what Epic Universe is all about and how they open it and how it is received by the public, Disney's going to be scrambling to do more things like that, or they're going to be scrambling just to get things done quicker, faster.
They're going to give you free snacks. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Disney shouldn't. They won't
They shouldn't
care.
do anything in response.
They won't care, and if their response is always wrong. The only time that they've ever had a true threat of competition was when the Wizarding World opened, and then they started copying the Universal playbook, which has not gone well for them. The thing that Disney needs is that they need to have the people in there that actually take pride in the actual brand again. That's what they need. They don't care about the competition. They could go. They could be downranked to the number 10, all the way down to the number 16th place inside of theme park attendance. Doesn't matter as long as they have somebody that's at the top that's just like, okay, am I still getting paid? Okay, then I don't care about this. But they won't be, because it won't get to that point. They will eventually have to kick people out for it.
Let me tell you how Disney competes nowadays. They will say, oh, Dollywood is getting all this attention. It's a great place, great operations, great hospitality, great everything. And everybody likes the cinnamon bread. Okay, we'll make cinnamon bread. And it'll be inferior. And they'll say, we answered them. What's the next thing?
Yes,
that's their mentality.
Yeah, because it's like that whole thing. Because I know that a lot of people on here also follow like political channels and everything. Okay, it's the question of what's the wrong lesson I should learn from this.
Yeah.
Absolutely every single time.
Going back to what Josh was saying too, I think that you don't have people that care right now. You have Imagineers that just do what they think is going to work, and they don't have that drive and that experience that previous Imagineers have had. And then also, like Josh was saying earlier, we had a lot of people who left Imagineering and they've gone to Universal or America's Heartland that's supposed to open in 2026 or other theme parks because, their talent is wanted at those, new theme parks or those companies. And
by the way, it doesn't have to be a massive theme park to be. People are learning that there's all kinds of smaller, interesting alternatives all over the place. We just got news here where I am. There's a big, like the biggest railroad layout in America in Cincinnati, in a building there that people go see, train fans. It's closing. They're moving it here along with a whole transportation indoor theme parky thing. Why here? Because, well, we got this choo-choo, But there's all of these smaller things There's all of these indoor attractions. There's all of these variety of things to do. It isn't Disney or the Highway anymore, and it isn't Disney or Universal and the Highway anymore. Meanwhile, Universal, they're doing Frisco, they're doing Vegas. They're reading the market, and Disney is saying, screw the market, we're Disney.
Oof, it is really disappointing to see. Hopefully,
it's so hard to hear that. It really is so hard for everyone to hear that. It's hard for everyone, including myself, to realize that about it. But I do think that eventually things will come to a head, probably within the next year or so. I don't think that Bob Iger is going to be able to maintain his 5-year oversight of the entire operation when whoever it is that succeeds him comes in with it. They'll eventually get to a place where even the investors, which typically don't care, they're going to say, okay, enough is enough, and then we're going to go on with something else.
Well, actually, this is really interesting, because what you're saying, Joshua, and what Pam Epson is saying in the chat, really want to get into, because I think this is a really good discussion.
Just one thing. When we say the investors don't care, here's what they care about. Their own credibility.
Absolutely.
Their own credibility. And how long can they cover up and make excuses without hurting their own credibility as the price of the stock goes down?
Yeah, indeed. Before we get into that conversation, though, we have to say goodbye to one of our panelists here, that being Barry Place 28. Bob, where can the people find you on this big, beautiful web?
Mary Place, I love it.
Yeah, actually, I got to change it now that the holidays are over. But yep, you can check me out at Barry Place 28 on all my social media channels. So that would be on X, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So please come hang out with me when I'm not doing my Mary Place 28 or Barry Place 28. I've got the Park Streamers Hangout channel, which is a lot of fun. It's every 2 weeks on a Monday. We'll have another one a week from this coming Monday. Also, I should be back at the park, I think. I have a reservation for Saturday at Disneyland, but I'm going to try to switch it to Sunday because I've got some plans for Saturday. So hopefully you guys can come join me. If you've gone to my page and you hit that subscription button and the notification bell, it'll let you know when I go live. And by the way, I just hit 5,000 subs on Christmas Day, so that was a nice Christmas present for me. So I hope you guys will definitely come and hang out with me. We're going to be doing a 5,000 sub celebration here within the next week, and I'll be giving away a bunch of prizes too. So it should be a lot of fun. So thank you for the support. Thank you for having me on the show. And VashSky, Nolan, Lou, Ron, and Joshua, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Thank you so much, Bob. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Bob.
I haven't been able to talk to you for a little while here because the holidays has been so busy, but I'm so glad.
Well, and you had a little bit of cold too, so I hope you're feeling better, Vash.
I am, thankfully, but unfortunately, others around us are not faring so well. So thank you so much, Bob.
Vash, you gave Erica your cold.
Oh, jeez. All right, good night, everyone.
Transmission lines. Thanks, Bob. Do appreciate it.
Bob.
You can subscribe to Bob actually in the chat right there, and it should be in the description as well. So thank you so much for supporting our panelists here. One of the conversations that I want to get into right now, though, is a comment here from Pam Epson. I think there's a really, really great little discussion to be had here. Pam Epson, is there any real reason why Disney will not expand the land usage that they have VashSky? They have so much land. Yes, they do, especially at Walt Disney World. There are plenty of acres. And actually, I think Bob Iger said something to the effect of, hey, we have enough to have 7 new parks or whatever on Walt Disney World property. That's how much land that they actually have.
But
so what's the advantage to keeping it the same? Lou, go ahead.
Infrastructure. Infrastructure. Let us all remember that the water table in Florida is very high, that when they originally built the Magic Kingdom, part of the reason for the utilidors was to raise the whole thing up a floor so it wouldn't get swamped at the first sign of wetness. And that all of those other areas, as open and free and wonderful as they are, have issues like wetlands maintenance and also just getting power and water and gas and people and everything else to them. So, in some ways, it's a lot cheaper for them to build on what's already built than to do that other stuff. Now, I would point out something interesting. in the latest bioreconstruct stuff from Epic, one of the things that is shown is that all of these areas around the 5 portals, lands, whatever, that were being used to stage all the pieces of the track and the buildings and the pots for the top of the buildings in Paris and all the rest have been cleared and have now been flattened and have now been laid out, and they're going to put grass on them. But it suddenly gives you the sense of how much expansion space there is that you never really got before. And my God, they've got a lot of it. And they don't have to fight that same problem there. They really don't. So you see all those areas, for example, right there in the middle where you see all those trucks and things?
Yeah.
That's all now cleared and graveled and ready to be seeded with grass. So the answer is it costs to start from nothing more than it costs to start from something. Is that a good answer? I don't know. Is it a good answer when you tell people, oh, we have all this land we could expand now. We have all of this wonderful land, and then you don't use it? You kind of make an argument against yourself when you say that. But that's, in my mind, the reason.
There's a couple more reasons as well. All of them great. Lou is correct. And one of the other reasons is that they have something that is this is a horrible, it's not a catchy title, but it's the best one I could come up with, is the Dick Nunes Law of Conservation of Limited Theme Parks.
Yes.
So
I've heard you talk about this before.
Explain to people who Dick was.
Yes, it's like, so Dick Nunes was the president of Walt Disney Attractions under a different name, but it's basically the theme parks for ever since.
Basically, what Josh Tomorrow does today, he did then.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
And the saying among cast members was, "It'll be okay once we work the newness out of it."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so there's that you have to contend with, and what that really states is that that no attractions cannot be created or destroyed; they can only be retooled. And one of the reasons why that they do that is because of the labor cost. That's one of the big factors: labor, as well as for the engineering, the people that have to upkeep these things. I mean, yeah, sure, you've got tens of thousands of hundreds of acres of everything, but if you can't maintain it, then you shouldn't build it in the first place. The other thing that I've noticed too, and this has to go with the way in which they've been doing the theme parks, and this you can credit all or discredit all the way down to Eisner, is that when they created all of these these attractions that are thrill attractions typically require a lot more people to run. So if you have something like, for example, Spaceship Earth, or you have the Carousel of Progress, those things have like 4 people that run each one of those every single day, and they have significantly higher throughputs than something like your average thrill ride, which usually takes around like 16 to 20 people to operate at a time. And that's all that they're interested in doing right now, is they're only interested in doing 3 thrill rides, high capacity, technically known as dispatched vehicle attractions. That's one of the other reasons that they don't expand everywhere. And actually, as I outlined when the whole entire RCID Reedy Creek thing got started, is that Disney has been very, very wasteful with the land usage, particularly at Walt Disney World. Everything is way, way, way too spread out. They didn't, and just because you have all this land doesn't mean that you should use every single segment of it. I mean, you look at something like the Coronado Springs Resort. The Coronado Springs is just in nowheresville, and you have to take a bus to go everywhere with it. I mean, if you look at it from just a land usage perspective, way too spread out. And also, and I think that the thing that Pam might be alluding to here is alluding to something like the Fifth Gate, which is always something that kind of annoys me, because I'm just like, no, they need to build out the actual theme parks that they have themselves. The Magic Kingdom is a third smaller today than it was in 1992, and then you have that same exact condition that goes on with every single one of the other parks. So yeah, you could expand, but you are going to need to do it with different ride systems that they've been using or even have a desire to do. You have something like the Monsters Inc. door coaster. That thing is going to require like 15 people to run at any particular time. Where if you put in a nice Omnimover attraction, if you did something that was literally just replicating the hide and go seek attraction that they have over at Tokyo or at California Adventure, that only requires about 2 or 3 people to operate. So they're not being very practical with with any of these things from a long-term perspective.
There's a ton of cast members always working at Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. I feel like there's like 20, 30, 40 cast members there. But also, we have to remember, too, that they recently spent $70 billion.
There you go.
To acquire Fox. And there's right now, there is nothing they're doing with Fox that is recouping any of that money whatsoever. Disney Plus is not making a profit. That's what they supposedly did it for. Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe that helped bring a little bit of it back, but yeah, I mean, it's where Iger wants to spend his money. He's a TV guy, he's a media guy.
Correct.
He came from ABC. He does not have the care for the parks and the experiences that people will have with this company. He just doesn't have the care, like at least Eisner, especially in the Eisner Wells era, had that care for what the parks were. I mean, he really expanded things a lot, and especially during the Wells era when Wells was with him. They were kind of a magical duo. When unfortunately Wells lost his life, that changed a lot of things. And Iger has never had that. He's never had anybody in his way. He's just like, I'm going to acquire everything. And the company has spent billions. I would love to know if anything that they have purchased has made the money back enough for it to have been worth it for them to purchase. I don't know.
Especially
Maybe
considering how they've diluted those properties, whether it's Marvel or Pixar or anything else.
And
but
also,
so many IPs in Fox. My God, all of that great television from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s that they haven't touched or done anything with at all.
No.
Yeah, there's so much to go on there with Iger's little shopaholic spree that he does with every single thing. It's profoundly deplorable the way in which that he's been using Walt Disney's pocketbook to elevate other brands which were not as nearly successful as the one that he's actually cashing in the check from. So but it's all about that. It's just like, if you want to know, like, why is it that we're not. Why is it that the Magic Kingdom is 2/3 the size that it was 25 years ago, or for that matter, anything else? It's just like, well, yeah, all the money goes elsewhere. Everything goes to other parks, like the ones that he did for the CCP, which he's so proud of. His little park that actually crippled all of Walt Disney World. Does anybody remember the hashtag Thanks Shanghai? Walt Disney World has Walt Disney World has never recovered from that. By the way, just because it goes outside of the news doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Walt Disney World has never recovered from the budget cuts that they made just to be able to open Shanghai Disneyland, and that is where on the rankings of theme parks globally. And how profitable is that? Oh wait, it's
and
not,
now that the Chinese economy is crashing, people there can't afford to go.
Oh,
yeah.
All those empty cities full of condos that people bought into and went broke. The failure of their industries as we rehome them back here. China is in a bad way, gang. Don't let the propaganda fool you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with these bad investments, like Shanghai Disneyland, for example, or as Pam Epson is talking about right here, talking about spending money on TV. I mean, look, $645 million on Andor. And by the way, that's only until November 2023. We don't even know what they spent in 2024 when it came to Andor Season 2. It's ridiculous. How are you spending that much money on this TV product right here when you look at the park side of things? That gets you a Rise of Resistance and then some. Go ahead, Lou, I think.
Well, I was going to say, we've seen today, I guess it was, or yesterday, a story come out that Leslie Headland thought that the Acolyte would go 3 or 4 seasons and a movie, and always said so. Here's my question. When she said that, was there nobody to slap her and say, snap out of it, girl? Let's see what the first one does. What are you, crazy? But nobody
The show's
had that
gonna
attitude.
last 3 weeks.
Maybe it would have been a hit, and then it would have generated more seasons or whatever. But you don't plan, well, of course, I personally am of the opinion that, and I haven't seen the movie. I've got the screener. I'm going to watch it before I vote. But I think the splitting of Wicked into 2 movies is going to turn out to be a huge mistake, because I think the second one's going to drop dead. I really do. But 3 seasons and a movie. Why didn't somebody just say, go away, idiot? Let's see what happens in the first one first. Because when you're thinking that way, everything that comes up during the first one, well, we'll fix it in the next one. We'll fix it in the movie. We'll fix it. Right. Everybody's got a good excuse for why, someday in season 43, all of that will be revealed. Oh, yeah? Well, you got to get there.
I think the critical drinker did say that. I guess I heard him the other day say, go away now.
Leaving an opening for more content is one thing, but building an entire first season around what you believe is going to be 2, 3, I mean, that's really dangerous territory unless you're a very good creator.
And even if she didn't know, didn't anybody there know? Never mind KK, didn't anybody at the studio, didn't anybody know, or anybody care to say, why the hell didn't Bob Iger know?
That's the big question. I mean, it's Alan Bergman talks about how it's like, okay, well, we looked at the financials, especially for what we got for the Acolyte season 1. Didn't make sense to move on to Acolyte season 2, and it's like that call should have been made a while ago.
But it's also a system-wide, Hollywood-wide problem. Did you see the article this week of the head of Sony saying, well, really, Madam Web and Craven, they weren't bad pictures. It was the damn audience. It was the damn audience and the critics that ruined them. They were great movies. They just, the people who pay the money didn't want to buy the dog food. Sorry.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Doesn't make any sense. And this is a Hollywood problem all around. Hollywood saying that you have toxic fandom or the audience is bad or this. I'm like,
oh wait, today
that's not how that works.
A guy on CNN said the reason for the ratings drop in all the news channels is people are exhausted from the election. Once they get over it, they'll go back to watching MSNBC and CNN. And really, they're just tired,
Right.
Didn't they make that same excuse the last election too?
Well, sure. They're nothing if not consistent in their madness.
Well, that's why Comcast is spinning off stuff like MSNBC and all that, because, it'll pick up. Sure.
Well, I was watching Rob Schneider saying you could probably buy it for 50 cents in a draft choice to be named later.
So
yes.
You reminded me of something though when you were talking about like attacking the audience and everything. I am not just a historian; I'm also a graphic designer, and that means that as a designer, which is a little bit different from an artist, you are subservient to communicating your ideas effectively to people. If a project screws up that I am doing, it is my fault. It is always my fault for that because I am not communicating effectively enough with the audience. It's not that I'm not going to go ahead and I'm not going to give you an infographic or a film or anything, and then people aren't going to like it and just like, well, that's just because you're a bad person. Like, no, that was definitely my problem. And most of these people have no humility inside of Hollywood now to even remotely get that concept.
Yeah, and it's something that existed around the fringes, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. I remember, got to know this guy. I used to go to the same restaurant, and we'd go to their special tastings and have a grand old time. Never knew what he did. He never knew what I did. Finally, we start talking one night, and it turns out he's a very major producer for a very big production company. And I tell him I'm a writer and a director, and he says, well, why don't you come up with some stuff, and maybe we can, do some deals. And I said, okay. I said, tell me what you're looking for. And he described a very specific genre, a very specific kind of movie. And he said, that's what we're looking for. I came up with 5 different short 2 or 3 paragraph treatment synopses. And I sent them in to him. expecting, gee, I'm doing exactly what he wants. And he says, you know what? You better come in and see me because somehow we miscommunicated. And I sit down. He's still cordial. He's still a nice guy. And he says, see, I guess I didn't explain it well enough. Here's what we're really looking for. And he described something completely, utterly different than what he told me the first time. And it's something that was the big hit that weekend at the box office. And I just smiled. And behind my smile, I was thinking, oh, so he's just another Hollywood a-hole. So, nice guy, and that goes on all the time. I know a guy who used to, he'd go to pitch scripts and they would say, well, who do you see in this role? He said, well, I don't know if you could get him, but no, tell me. And Meryl Streep and whoever. Yeah, great. They weren't going to get him, but that's how limited the imagination. He'd say, tell me the story in your own words. Well, that script that you've been holding on to, that treatment, those are my own words. Yeah, but tell me, because they don't read. And they don't digest, and they don't. But, who's going to tell them? They're the ones making all the money. So anyway, enough of my rant on Hollywood. But that's the way it is. And where it used to be a few oddballs, it's everybody.
So what you're saying, Lou, is the pitch meetings channel is fairly accurate. The guy
that's like with the contract where they guaranteed if it goes to a development process, you're going to have X number of writers at minimum for X number of weeks in the writer's room. You know what that means? Nothing goes to the pitch meeting level. Because where before a couple guys would say, well, let's kick this around and see if it'll work. If it suddenly means they have to pay 6 or 8 or 10 writers for a minimum number of weeks at a certain price to go that far, they're not doing it. So it doesn't get more jobs. It doesn't guarantee more income. It guarantees that nothing's going to happen. So anyway, but hey, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
One more thing I wanted to add to this whole discussion right here is the supply and demand aspect, especially from the pencil pushers over there now running things. When you expand, like Joshua was saying and Lou was saying, you increase your infrastructural costs, you increase your labor costs when you actually do that. So this is also why, I think one of the big reasons why they only have one water park operating at one time. Right. Even though they might advertise 2, you'll only get ever 1, folks, because they're shifting labor around. So why expand necessarily when you can, I don't know, reimagine, let's say, a aging attraction or an aging area or whatever, maintain roughly the same labor, but increase demand in the process while maintaining the supply where it is, and that way you can charge more for it. This is the strategy that Walt Disney World is currently employing, and it's not great. It's not awesome for the guest experience, but it's great for the revenue, or at least it was up until very recently when people started figuring out that this practice not so good here. Now, Ron, I don't mean to kick you out early, buddy, but we do have another story here that we are going to cover. I don't know how long it's going to take, so I don't want to keep you because it seems like you have a hard out.
And Ron, plug the merch store. Everybody's admiring your hat. You're selling that hat, and I want one.
It's what is it? The Spread Shop. I don't know that I can put it. I put the link in the chat, but I don't think
Please.
I'm a. Let's see. That's here. I'm going to put it in the back, and then Vash can throw it on the screen, right?
Yes,
there you go.
absolutely.
Boom. There you go. Okay. Cool. And so this is from Follow the Bradley's Fun Spread Shop. I also have the other, this logo merch and stuff up there. But if you look at it closely, you'll notice it doesn't quite say what you think it says, and that's because of legal copyright reasons. But if you read it, it will say "Make Disney Walt Again." If you look at it, you realize that's the Disney word is broken up, so it's not actually that.
Yeah, why not?
Gotta keep it legal. But yeah, there's plenty of merch at the shop. I think this hat's like $25-$30, something like that. There's actually several different versions of the hat that you can get, and you can change any of the colors on these things. It doesn't have to be red. It can be black or blue or whatever. You can see the kind of different color schemes underneath there. But yeah, it's and I'm going to be doing some more stuff like with the broccoli mountain, something like I survived Broccoli Hill or something. I don't know. I haven't designed it yet, but
I lost my thrill on Broccoli Hill.
Oh my gosh, that's so. It's really the tragic kingdom at this point in time, and it's very sad to see that happen. But I love, the truth of the matter is, I love Disney, and I wish that we would make Disney Walt again. His ideals, what he wanted for the parks, and when you think about the conversation that he had with Lillian, and her biggest thing is, I do not want people drinking in those parks. I do not want this to end up like the county fair, or the carnies coming through town. And it's really sad because so much of that has worked its way into the theme parks over time. And it's just not what Walter or Lillian wanted. So I would like to see that come back. I don't have high hopes that if the company does not change hands, I'm really, really worried. But if Bob Iger picks his successor, I'm very, very worried that the grass will not be greener on the other side. So we shall see.
But we can hope for the best, expect the worst, like the Mel Brooks song says.
You got to prepare. Yeah. But thank you for having me on the show today, Vash.
Appreciate Absolutely. I love you when you come on. So this is fantastic.
When you're not on, he doesn't think much of you, but when you're here, he loves you.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
We're just like,
I love to have you. I love to have you
when you're on the show.
I love you.
One of the things I got to ask Pro about, but I kind of wanted to do this compilation video, because this last year from 24 to 25 has been crazy for me with doing all these guest spots, and this is not something I expected as part of my YouTube journey, and I'm so grateful for it. But I kind of want to do a compilation video where I do some clips from you and That Park Place and Pro and Lorena and put a clip show together of just what my 2024 was like, doing all these different guest spots. I hope that's okay.
Sure.
We'll see.
Absolutely. Well,
Cool.
I like I was trying to say before, but it came out wrong.
Soon, Ron. See you real soon. MOU.
Love you coming on. Love you in general. Please come on back whenever you would like to. And hey, hopefully I can jump on your show as well. I know you do some morning shows occasionally.
Do morning show every morning. The Daily Dish is at 9:30 every morning, and I do want to start. I'm looking at some time slots that I don't want to interfere with anybody else's time slots. I might do a Monday night show that goes 2 or 3 hours, something like that. Ooh. And I will be adding a lot more news commentary videos on the channel. So my goal is to get to the point where I'm putting those up daily, at least 10 to 15 minute commentary videos. So
great.
Learning from the best.
Oh
yes, and I appreciate.
I love your morning show. I really do. I love all your shows, but especially your morning show.
I appreciate that.
Ron, you have my heart.
I have your heart. Well, I don't.
And for the right price, you could have his spleen and his kidney too.
Anyway, I have a friend that needs a kidney very, very bad.
Oh no! Keep me a bathtub in the ice.
Anyway, thank you so much, and we will see you later.
See you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Good
to see you, Ron. As always.
You as well, Josh.
Bye, you can subscribe to it in the comment section and also in the description as well. Thank you so much, Ron. Very much appreciate you being here. Awesome stuff. Love that guy.
Yay, bye.
He's cool.
He is great. He is great. Like I said, all the links in the description right there. Okay, so we talked about Walt Disney World and why they're not expanding. Very unfortunate. One thing that highlights this, though, is this ad. Have you seen this commercial, guys? That just came out from Walt Disney World. Joshua, I'm sure you're going to get a kick out of this one right here if you have not seen it.
I've
it does.
seen
it.
Is this the one I said it ends with a partridge in a pear tree?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay.
They're putting S's in all the wrong places.
With the stat line and everything. We do have a copy of it here for our audience. And is YouTube safe? I did check this out and remove the music, so it might be a little dry, but here we go. This is This is Walt Disney World's advertising for 2025. Here we go. Animal Kingdom.
Here you leave today and enter a world of
A world of princesses.
So they're doing this world talk, which is interesting. They've never really described their parks or their experiences as worlds before. Sounds like they're taking a cue almost out of Universal with how they've described the parks in the past and how they are describing Epic Universe with its portals. Did any of you catch that, or am I making that up?
No, I think you're right.
That, and they've been overusing the term world for a little while now when they transferred Epcot from two worlds using the same exact tense of the word world, which means earth, into realm for the three whatever it is that they're calling it that they replace Future World with. So it seems to be a takeoff of that as well.
Ugh, not great. Let's go ahead and continue on.
I hear music there.
Yeah, a little bit, but not enough to get us caught.
Okay.
A world of villains.
World of villains.
Is that the fattest
Wow.
Snow White character person I've ever seen? It is. Yeah. Look at there. Back it up. I mean,
Okay, let's see.
I'm a big fan of Regina. I don't like this girl.
Is the implication is she trying to murder Snow White?
Look at that.
Not quite sure. I think look, listen.
Whatever. I didn't. That was a cruel comment. I take it back, but it's true.
Well, I'll tell you this, Lou. I'll say this. In Florida, I have noticed that the characters aren't quite as on model as in Disneyland. I think it's because it's proximity to Hollywood. Am I off base there, Lou? Am I correct on that?
You could be right.
There's other reasons. I mean, do you want me to get into it now, or do you want to finish the commercial?
Yeah.
No, please, Joshua. If you've got some information.
Yeah. So, I have family that was in entertainment and for many years, so I know a lot about how they work with that one. They actually, most of the time, they don't go with. They're not looking at pictures of Snow White and placing Snow White. They're looking for a specific person that can match another one. Sometimes they actually want to cast people in pairs that not necessarily, they would prefer to have like identical twins that look nothing like Snow White, but dress them up as Snow White. They can't get that. But what they'll look is they'll look at individuals. So they'll actually cast two people at the same time to where they can have one person be the back-to-back with the other one. But yeah, there is the whole entire thing where they're not as closely aligned with Hollywood, so that they don't have a lot of face talent that is inside of Orlando as well. So that one's another aspect of this entire situation. But yeah, they're not necessarily hired or cast due to how they look as a character. They can also, what they'll do is they'll look at the facial structure and everything. When I was working there, they had literally like three women, which used to be Snow White and then became the fairy godmother, and then they're just retired from that now. And they're the only people who cast anybody who is in a face role with that one. So they'll look at the bone features and everything, and they'll say like, wait a minute, you would be good as both Cinderella and Elsa, and you would be good as both Aurora and Snow White. So they're looking for like almost a generic face with every single one of these to be able to cast them. So it's a weird process. It's a very, very weird world in entertainment. So
that's a fair point. And my comment on this is I'm just glad that Snow White is, a woman, because we have seen.
Well, and more importantly, that the queen seems to be a woman as opposed to that guy at the meet and greet. Anyway,
am I allowed to say on YouTube that I'm happy that her skin is actually looks like white? Like it's like snow.
That's a fair point as well. We have seen some inclusive casting decisions on Disney's entertainment department in the past. That hasn't really happened with the meet and greet characters, but who knows when that might be coming down the pike here. Let's continue.
And heroes.
Ah, now this is
Hey, it's
kind of
just
a
like Smuggler's Run. You just push one button.
yes, that's true.
Okay, I have to give some credit here.
Yep.
That guy in the middle who's putting his arms up with all the lightsabers and stuff, that guy's a boss. I credit to him.
Well, yeah, but to see that boss, Nolan, you're gonna have to pay $250 to see him. This is why
I
this is
know,
kind
and
of
I've done it in person.
I haven't freeze framed this yet, but I've noticed something that is a really unrealistic thing about this image. You see what I'm seeing with this?
I think I see what you're saying, and that's
There are
the
no
other-
children. This is a children's activity. This is, I mean, like seriously, yeah, that no adult is doing this thing. I'm not meaning to like a Disney adult shame or anything, but like really, like this is a okay, fine. It's a primarily children's activity, and there's not a single child there.
It's I would put some pushback there, Joshua, because
Okay, all
what
right.
you're going for here is the Star Wars nerds. And as someone there, I can say that I seem to recall there being a good chunk of adults that were actually getting into this. You get a take-home souvenir. Is it overpriced? Yes. But I will say it's actually doing one of the few things that Disney actually hit the nail on the head with, I feel like, when it comes to Galaxy's Edge. It's something you want to go to the Star Wars area to do. Whereas in a lot of the whole Galaxy's Edge as a whole, they missed out on those little things that, for example, take the competition with, say, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the little things that add up into a big experience. This is one of the few things that just distinctively looks like a Star Wars type thing. So that's my own personal opinion on it.
Is there two kids in the back? Let's go ahead and see here, because
No, they're just.
I mean, there might be.
It looks like they're just short people. So, and I don't mean little people. I just mean shorter people, like they're like 5 foot tall people.
I think it's a decent
Fair
point,
point,
here
Nolan.
because.
It's fine. So,
Well, no, okay.
All right, well, let's go
Okay,
forward.
so
What else is in this?
there's one child right here, maybe.
Oh, okay.
That's a certified child right there. But I do think your point is still worth making, that they don't necessarily highlight children doing this experience in this commercial. A very interesting point right here. Also, too, the only two white guys in the entire commercial.
yeah. But also, this is probably coming up later and everything. I mean, I can understand there's a certain practicality with this as well, because this is a yellow shoe shoot. This is very highly produced media. They probably just didn't have any children that wanted to be there at that particular time period, because my guess is that they shot this probably after hours, so they didn't want to have any kids there anyway. So
it's a fair point.
My guess is they're all cast members or people brought in to do it rather than guests.
you would be 100% correct about that.
Yeah.
Describe
Let's
the
also
yellow shoes,
remember-
by the way.
Let's
Okay,
also
so-
remember here. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay,
Nolan,
so-
you first, and then
Yes,
Joshua can take over.
Okay,
How about that?
all right. I just wanted to say one thing we also must remember here too is the point of this is being a commercial, and there should, if they're competent with what they're doing here, they should be having a whole strategy laid out on the whole, like, you need to catch everybody from the grandmas to the little kids and such. And they've always had this reputation compared to, say, I'll use Universal as the best example of being a little bit more of, it's a family park, but being a little more kiddie in comparison to Universal. There's more IP that's going to be more appealing to maybe the teenage audience. I'm sure that they probably had a thought process behind it of, okay, we need to have like the really little kids during the meet and greet stuff, during something like Star Wars, a little more, edgy, something that's older in nature. Let's get some more adults there. Because I don't think they want the whole ad to just seem like, take your little kid here, but your older kids are going to feel excluded. I would assume, I haven't seen the whole ad yet, that was probably the thought process behind
Yeah,
it.
but grandma and grandpa pay the bills.
True, but you have to, they want the whole family coming there. And if someone just dips out for, oh, why would I go to Disney when I can, I don't know, go to Six Flags, whatever is appealing to young adults.
I think Universal is more the existing Universal because it's got coasters that Disney doesn't even touch.
True.
Yeah.
And
So, So what
go
Yellow Shoes? What Yellow Shoes is Yellow Shoes is the internal marketing firm that Disney uses for everything. It's kind of weird because it is like every other marketing firm. It's just that they work almost, now there are a few exceptions, but almost exclusively on Disney media and everything. So every single commercial that you've ever seen, actually, I thought it was interesting with the recent Disney parade, the Christmas Day parade. They actually got a title card at the end of it. It said YS Studios on there, which actually stands for Yellow Shoes. So that's the marketing firm that Disney uses internally. And most of the time, and they do. To be quite honest with you, even with this ad, they do amazing work in being able to upsell what's going on with the parks right now. I mean, truly phenomenal work with all of their effects and filters and everything else that they do with it. It's really incredible stuff.
The last thing I'll say about this particular portion of this commercial is that this experience, $250 at Walt Disney World, $220 at Disneyland. They did increase the price at both locations. They've slowly backed off that price increase at Disneyland because, well, it's a larger annual passenger population who's less inclined to engage in an experience like this. I do agree with you, Nolan. There is a marketing strategy to try to include adults and young adults in this fair. So
I have no idea. How does that compare price-wise with the wand thing at Universal?
Oh, the wands.
Good question.
I don't mean just buying them, but the thing where it picks you and that whole ceremony thing.
I think that is included, isn't it? Like, you don't have to pay extra for that, do you?
You don't have to. The only charge associated with that whole thing is whether or not you want to buy the wand after the show. And usually, if you're picked, which is random, the buying of that wand is like 90+%.
But all I'm saying is the wand triggers stuff in 2 and soon to be 3 different lands, just like those power-up bands for Nintendo do.
I believe that the price tag on that's floating around in my head right now, I believe that's for the interactive ones. It's around like $100 for those, and it's somewhere around like 60 something for the static ones. Anyway, it's far less than the lightsaber.
Right. Yes, that's a fair point there. Let's go ahead and continue on. Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Tron and
World with other worlds.
Remember, the Pandora section of Animal Kingdom, that's going to be now almost, we're coming up on 10 years almost. That opening in 2017. It's going to be 2025 next year. It's close to really, I don't know, being a little bit passé nowadays.
By the way, the only part of Tiana they showed was the part that hasn't changed, the drop. They didn't show anything of the animatronics. They didn't show anything of anything else. And it's like, maybe for people who haven't been following, all right, those bottles. But otherwise, people who haven't been following it, maybe they don't know any better, and more power to them,
That's a really good point right there. I remember I may have had that thought when I was watching this the first time, but I forgot. It's a great point that they really didn't show Tiana's Bayou Adventure at all. Again, that would be the newest attraction on Walt Disney World property right now, and yet it's barely highlighted in this ad. And it definitely doesn't look as nice as maybe that Tron scene right there. But yeah, Animal Kingdom, it's had the same exact capacity for the last 4 years, I believe, and will have the exact same capacity for the next 3 years. So that's
Vash.
that's
they
great.
should show World of Pandora at nighttime because you can do that, right?
Why? But that would be false advertisement, Dylan, because you can never see it at nighttime anymore because the park closes at 6 every day almost. It's frustrating. Crystal clear, by the way, the imagery right there. And we gotta have that gal with the nasal ring there. Good stuff.
Oh God.
Yep.
I can't believe they got Mae Musk to do this thing.
And now we have the stats. Okay, here we go.
4
folks.
theme
So
parks.
So,
Yes.
of all the things to highlight at Walt Disney World, what would you highlight? Well, 4 theme parks. Good. 2 water parks. Now, hang on a second. This is a little false advertisement here, like we were
Never
saying
open
before.
at the same time.
Because they would never be open at the same time. Some people have already superimposed an asterisk on this, and with the the legal notice at the bottom.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
They should bring up like mass statistics or something like that. Be like, well, we have half a park open because half of it's closed for Rivers of America. Epcot's entirely walls, so that's about 0.25% a park.
Yes, I think TC's going.
Don't give
where
me
you're
any
going,
ideas, Nolan, because I'll just retrofit those into this thing.
Okay, now 25 plus. They don't know how many they have?
See, that's kind of my thought, Lou. Either they don't know how many they have, or they're trying to skirt between the DVC resorts.
Yes,
and
that's
their
what they're
regular
doing.
resorts.
Yeah. To be honest, I forget the stat myself when I used to live there. So
Fair enough.
Whole bunch of rooms, it could have said, but no, they
Yeah.
want numbers.
here's
675
my
shops
stat.
and eateries.
oh yeah,
I
that's
feel
a
like the
good
people
point.
doing this commercial are more concerned about Epic Universe than Bob Iger is.
Well, yeah.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's a good
That would be a good assessment. Yeah.
good observation. 675 plus shops and eateries.
Plus.
This is the last stat, folks. They don't.
How
show
many
us the back-
bathrooms? How many bathrooms? Can we know how many bathrooms next?
Right.
How many shower drains do they have and everything? Because I want to know that too. I mean,
Well, Bob
as long as
Iger's
we're
very
just throwing
concerned
in
about that
shops
Plus
and
a
eateries.
partridge in a broccoli tree.
How many road signs? Can we do road signs too?
How many-
Oh my
well,
gosh. Let's really expand this up because that way you're getting a lot for your
When
value.
things break.
But what? Okay, so okay, this is a bizarre thing, and yeah, Joshua. I mean, look, you got one more restroom, so there you go. What's the one stat here that's missing?
The price?
Well,
Okay,
attractions.
so-
I think attractions is the is the one stat.
Attractions.
Yeah.
Where's attractions and entertainment? It's nowhere in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no.
Why wouldn't you highlight that?
Because
People
it
book
wouldn't be-
vacations.
It wouldn't be
for
valid
rides.
from one week to the next because they keep closing and changing and changing and
Oh,
closing.
that's a fair point, actually.
It is.
Well, you can just do the
I
plus
hate to
then.
be annoying about this. I really, really hate to be annoying about it. But even with all of your ticket media and everything, it says the attractions are not guaranteed at any particular point in time and everything. Now, what they could have done, though, they could have said like 50 plus attractions.
Yeah, there you go. Plus,
Just as long as you put down plus and you make sure that you undershoot it, then
as long as they've established this plus trick, they might as well keep using it for that. I agree.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I can't give you a break on this. Yes, they're wrong. Go ahead.
Vash, please
What?
tell me they don't end this with endless possibilities or something cheesy like that at the end. Please tell me. they
Well,
don't
let's
do
see
that.
what they end
That's
this
what they
at
did to
here.
my park, Nolan.
Infinite worlds await.
There it is.
Infinite worlds await.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
that's
put-
the show that he didn't show up for the other day. That nobody. Yeah. Right, okay.
Fantasmic.
All I
Yeah,
can
right.
say about this cartoon of an ad, some imagination, huh?
Perfect.
Yeah. It just just like that. What an awkward, stupid thing to put down Walt Disney Worlds. Like that would imply that there are 2 Disney Worlds in the on the
Oh,
planet.
I didn't even notice
and,
that.
and not only that, but just like it really pisses me off because I'm just like they're taking S's away from Disney all the time, which really annoys me. Like they call it Disney California Adventure, which makes no grammatical sense. And they do that with every single other thing too. And then they put it down here, which makes no sense. I'm just like, Mike, why are you keeping on moving the S's? Okay, I'm tired of this S show. This is nothing but an S show.
What you're missing up there is the apostrophe. It's there presenting the most magical place on earth.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is so bizarre. It's so weird. Also, too, 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, 25 plus resort hotels, 675 plus shops and eateries. How much of that came with the Iger era? And that's kind of the big deal here, is because
Oh, let me guess. Please, pick me. Almost nothing. Almost
Yes.
nothing for
Right.
20 years. Nothing. So
it's almost the same experience. Now, they did highlight what was new there, but I mean, there was like a handful of attractions there. And again, a lot of them replacing what was there before.
yeah, I think that the only thing that they showed that was basically new was the Pandora and Tron. That was it.
Yes. Yes.
That was-
For comparison, I just had an idea.
Please.
Mall of America is advertising over 500 stores, and they haven't even got to the food and drink yet.
Wow.
So
That's really
basically,
something.
it's worlds
No,
within
that's-
malls within whatever, right? When they leave the attractions out. That's what makes
Yeah.
it special.
Paul Pressler would be so proud.
Yeah.
He would be.
And
he would
JPEG.
be. It's just they've added almost nothing, and that's the thing. My experience of when I went there in 2023, it was like, wow, it's like I'm seeing this place 25 years too late. You know, that the heyday had kind of passed it by.
When I heard that you were coming and everything, and with all that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm really sorry for you. I'm just I'm just like, and especially like, like I can't imagine people going into my beloved Epcot right now. And actually it this hurts me from like literally a bottom line and perspective analysis and everything, when I'm just like, yeah, I'm the guy who created Epcot Legacy. I'm, the world's definitive website for the park and everything. And people look at me and they're just like, you mean that you devoted your life to Frozen and Cosmic Rewind?
Oh,
because that's the implication. That's the
Yes.
implication.
And
with it.
that's what I was saying before, is they're killing off the generation that remembers in favor of people who have lower standards and don't give a damn.
Yeah. So
They don't care.
It's all
Give
of
me
that.
cracked corn and they don't care.
I never thought about that, but man, Joshua, I'm so sorry. That really
And
bums me
Josh,
out, because
if you and I can dream it, we can still do it in our hearts and our minds, and with your wonderful stuff on your website. All I can say is
thank you. Yeah, I try
Thank
to.
you.
I literally put
Thank
down a
you.
delineation line on mine where I do not talk about anything that happens post 2019.
right.
It used to be a living thing where I would go ahead and I would celebrate all the stuff that would happen beforehand and blah 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 blah. I'm like, no. There's I don't acknowledge anything that happened past 2019, except for my lights. My lights on on Spaceship Earth. I'm still proud of those, even though they don't use them correctly most of the time. But still, they're my lights.
yes. By the way,
Not the ones that are
interesting
flashing.
intros I was talking.
Not the ones that are flashing right there. Those are not my lights. Those are different people.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point right there.
know your lights, people.
The beacons of light, though, you can see some dead pixels there, which is really sad. But the beacons of light on Spaceship Earth, definitively one of the best things they've ever done. And
By the
yes, it
way,
will be a big feature on this channel later on.
hey.
Go ahead, Lou.
It just occurred to me, you know what they left out of that commercial?
Yes.
The Walt statues.
Great
I mean,
point,
they
Lou.
didn't put Walt in it anywhere.
Oh God, you're so 20th century. No one cares about that
It
old
just
guy.
occurred to me, my God, how can you do that? Even if it is ugly and badly lit and all the rest of it. Go in the daytime and try hard.
I hate that statue. I really hate. I love Walt. I've devoted most of my life to him and his pursuits. I hate his bronze statues everywhere. I like the partner statue. Partner statue is fine. Everything else
Partner's
is
okay, yeah.
so. Everything else is I think it's borderline iconoclastic. I believe is the word that I'm looking for. Or sort of like an idolatry type of thing. Anyway, it's just weird because whenever they cast a bronze statue of him, they seem to encapsulate his spirit within inside of it. I would much rather you pay tribute to Walt actually using his foundational principles instead of just showing his actual physical
And
form.
now we have the animatronic to look forward to. Oy vey.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'm
forgot
sorry,
about
people.
that.
I know a lot of people that were begging me to go ahead and start up a cause for that. Like, first of all, I can only have so many causes at the same time. Okay, it's very exhausting. I mean,
True.
I have my own like personal brand, if you want to call it, to think about. I can't be negative Nancy all the time, but when they get that animatronic in, I'm like, look, okay, this is going to be one of those situations like you're going to have to watch yourself fail, because this is going to be in very poor taste and everyone knows it, but no one's going to know until you actually show it. So go ahead, show it, and then get rid of it.
But see, going along with my premise about them basically killing off people who don't know any better.
Yes.
They originally said it was going to rotate with Lincoln from the get-go. Now it's going to stay there for a whole year without Lincoln, and then they'll bring Lincoln in every so often after a year has gone by. How many people will say, who's that, when Lincoln shows up? How many people say, why don't we have Walt? Because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Such a bad idea. It's goodness.
I mean, it's
gracious.
like the Bell sing-along versus Impression de France. You know, I mean, it's...
Oh, that infuriates me too. Just like, good God, I mean, it's like that. All of World Showcase is supposed to be a very selfless. It's supposed to be the most selfless, most altruistic thing that Disney has ever created. It's there to showcase the people of that nation. It is there for the people, in this case, of France. It is supposed to celebrate the French people, French culture. It is not there so that you can become a parody of itself. I mean, this is the thing that people were complaining about Disney theme parks in the late 80s all the way up until the early 90s, where they were talking about like the Disneyfication of the world, which was totally unfounded at the time, but now is unfortunately accurate.
Yeah.
Speaking of France, I do need to be saying au revoir.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
You're going over there to tune
A
down
bientôt.
TV. Going over there to the.
Sorry to be so rough, but I do have to depart.
Well, we'll miss
to
you,
the
Nolan.
good show.
Yes,
I guess.
yeah.
All
you.
right,
Always a
fine.
pleasure to
Always
be here with
wonderful
such great
seeing you.
gentlemen.
One of the things I wanted
It's
to
an
highlight
honor, my
before you
friends.
left, Nolan, was this photo right here. This is the one I was trying to find this whole time. Sorry, guys.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really pleased about Walt Disney being featured in this park either. But yes, Nolan, what do you got going on?
Well, remember this thing? It's called the Nintendo 64.
Yep.
There's a couple of urban legends going around right now that this thing might have been used to develop some experimental artificial intelligence technology way back in the 90s, built into this game called Super Mario 64. The urban legend is that no two copies of this game are the same, that they are all personalized to the viewer's preference. Could this have some more evil repercussions? Well, check it out on my channel. I have a video here coming out in the near future, a little mix of documentary, horror, B-movie horror, and comedy. So if you like that sort of thing and media mysteries, please check me out at Nolan Thunder with my series Lost in the Files. Whew.
Absolutely fantastic
Great.
stuff. And
That
you're going
sounds fascinating.
That was an excellent outro. Great job, Nolan. That was awesome.
Shit. Thank you, sir.
You also are going to be on Toontown TV right now.
Yes.
Right?
And you're going to be redirecting. Am I correct on that?
Yes, I am. As soon as this
after
show
the
is done, you'll be
stream-
redirected over to Toontown TV, where they're talking about what exactly? Do you know?
We're talking about Bo DeMaio, the guy who worked on X-Men 97 and also has other kinds of adult websites that I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. Nope. But it's going to be an interesting can of worms. Apparently, he has some opinions on some of the things that I think Disney's been up to. So we're going to try to cover that a bit, and it should be a good time. We got a really great panel there, and some hilarity shall ensue. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I
Always a
said,
good show.
Vash will be... Thank you. And like I said, all the credit to Marvin, too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you like some opinions on pop culture, you're in for a good time. So as always, though, I just want to say, always an honor to be here. All of you, every single one of you people in this panel are amazing. Love the chat. And it's always such an honor to be here. So I hope everyone has a great night and is having a great new year, too.
So far,
Absolutely.
so good.
Thank you so much, Nolan. Very much
Good night,
appreciate
Nolan.
it. And
Thank
thank
you,
you
gentlemen.
so much for being here.
Always a pleasure, man. Take it easy, guys.
Absolutely. And Joshua, what we got going on over here at Epcot Legacy? I know you've got locals as well. Please go ahead and
Yeah,
tell
so,
people where they can
I-
find you.
I create the Disney content that you actually want to consume. So you can see that my primary project is E82: The Epcot Legacy, where I segment the entire history of the entire project, all the way from the 1960s and even further before that, all the way up until 2019, into history, music, art, and legacy. I also have a store over there too, known as the Centurium, just like the original Center Emporium over there, where I'm always creating new items there. I have over 69 hours of high quality music on there. I've got this year, I'm going to be producing probably a record like 8 to 10 new albums for this year. Also, we're going to E82 is going to be celebrating its 15th year of existence on the 11th of January. So I've got a full year celebration that's going to be on that. I'm doing some wonderful stuff with AI lately. And most of my projects are going to be available exclusively to my local community first, sometimes a few weeks, sometimes a month, sometimes an entire year before the general public will ever be able to see it. It's very, very low cost to be able to go ahead and support my endeavors with that. And also, just as myself as JLH Omni, I do a lot of historical preservation, archiving, and everything. And most of that stuff I share online all the time. You can see that on x.com at JLH Omni Media. Excuse me, JLH Omni, just JLH Omni for that one. And then there's also Epcot Legacy at every single other platform as well.
And if you out there can still dream it, Josh can still do it. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful sight.
Thank you. I stand on the shoulders of other people's giant works. I'm just all about showcasing them, to be quite honest with you.
It's so good.
Okay, well,
I love everything you do, Joshua. And yes, I've your albums are delightful. I have many of them actually in my possession. I don't. That's a trade secret, everybody. I don't want to express to you how, but Joshua does some really, really great stuff. Definitely check out E82 wherever you can find it. Lou, what do you got going on your
well,
neck of the woods?
Rumor has it you and I are going back to the backlot on Sunday, like the good old days. I took a couple of weeks off for some rest and recuperation, but by golly, we're at it again for people to find out how it really works by asking me. I might know. You never know.
Yes,
and that is, tell them all about it.
We can take your questions at T3P online at yahoo.com for Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you. We take your questions about the Hollywood industry, specifically about vintage Hollywood, especially people like to ask about Lou's experiences, but he has to, refrain from some of those. We can go into a little bit about maybe some things as long as it doesn't give away his identity, but mostly it is of the industry, how the industry works, especially from a historical perspective, but we get into some other stuff too every once in a while.
We recommend some books, and now we've got a new feature where we got around the problem of music on YouTube by giving you links to people who already have it. And we have a thing we call the Backlot Jukebox, where I pick a track that is in. Did we use that one last time or not? The medley
I don't think we did.
Well, then we will. Well, then we will, because by golly, it's good.
Really
but
good
we'll have all of that on Sunday at 2:00. And then rumor has it that the genre guys are still in biz, and we are indeed. And we've been doubling up and taking a week off and doubling up and taking a week off. And frankly, I don't remember what's going on the air next. But they happen as perks for members on the Pro channel. But then 3 months later, they show up here for free. And how many of you got on here now? Almost 30 or something like that?
35, I'm not mistaken.
So if you'd like to dive deep into a great classic movie that is worth diving into with me and Lauren Connor and Hangry Tables, because we are the genre guys, and occasional guests. So we espouse the position that you should buy a disc, by God, and get it handy and keep it, because did you see that some board in England is now telling people that Greek history may be triggering?
Ooh. No good.
God
no
forbid.
Good.
They're all out to protect you from yourself, so avoid that. Learn the truth.
Yes.
Get the
Very much
discs.
so.
See the movie. You read the book, etc. And there's some books and things we recommend too. Right now, I'm strongly recommending for anybody interested in a fascinating story, as I said earlier, Al Pacino's autobiography that just came out called Sonny Boy. And did I mention that in the private or in the? I don't think I mentioned it in public. There's a fascinating coincidence. Al's father left his mother when he was 3 years old, and he didn't know him a lot growing up. But later in life, he reunited with him and got to meet his parents and grandparents. Guess where Al Pacino's father's grandfather immigrated to America from? Not just Sicily, but a town called, are you ready? Corleone. For real.
Oh,
For real. But it turns out that Corleone wasn't famous for mobs. It was famous for plasterers, and his grandfather was a master plasterer. So there you go. So get plastered with Al in that book, and we'll see you on the front, guys, and on the back line.
Well, thank you so much, Lou, for that. The next genre guys will be here will be Alvarez Kelly.
Ooh,
That's the next one.
one of my favorite, and a great theme song. God, movies with real theme songs. And that's Bill Holden and God, everybody. It's a Civil War story about cattle, about beef, about the smuggling thereof, and you'll like it. You'll really, really like it if you've never seen it. And if you have, watch it again. Anyway, we'll talk about that when it comes out.
Absolutely. 100%. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on T3PO Live. We do hope that you enjoyed the show right now. We didn't even get to our retrospective of 2024, but maybe we'll have to say that for next time right there. Thank you so much for joining us on here. If you want to go ahead and hit the like button on your way out, please hit the like button. T3PO Live will be here on Thursday, every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be back with Lou and you every 2 p.m. Eastern. Now I've frozen. Well, that's just great. Thanks, StreamYard. Very much appreciate that. Hopefully I'm still on, though. Am I still on? Oh,
yes.
I'm still on. Good. That is good. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button because we are in the middle of creating all kinds of great content for you. Again, new intros, outros. I can't wait for you guys to see them. My brother's been working on this so long, so it's going to be really, really fun when we debut those. It just about wraps everything up. Yes, Happy New Year, Pam Epson, and to all of you. Should be a great time for content. You're going to be redirected over to Marvin the Movie Monsters Toontown TV right now. Oh, do I have I have one super chat. I very much apologize. Going Shogi with $4.99. I am an unapologetic man-child. I'll buy goofy nonsense like lightsabers and one-piece hats until the day I die. Anyone with a problem can kick rocks. Hey, we don't want to take away from your hobby. If you like that,
fair enough.
I
you like it,
too.
it's your thing. Yeah,
there you go.
You do you,
I got
but
lightsabers. Well,
I saw a meme of aluminum foil on a shelf in a market, and it said free hat included. So there you go.
there you go. Thank you so much, Go and Shogi, for that and for supporting all of our channels. Let's go ahead and get you over to Toontown, which is already in progress, I am sure. And thank you all for watching. See you later.